Chapter 195. In the scorching hot land. As the ice layer dissipated, the temperature instantly rose back up. Lu Qianqian vomited blood, and then leaned weakly against the mountain wall. Her face was full of weakness. Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji and Yi Xingchen were injured. Zhou Hong used up all his energy. Su Xiaoma and Li Fei lost their defense. The 8 Iron Bone disciples did their best, and were also exhausted. It was gratifying. After the fiery dragon roared, a cross-shaped sword mark appeared on its body. Blood spurted out, and the flames around its body began to fade. Hopelessly, this behemoth did not fall. It was still standing. Moreover, the ground suddenly shook. At the eastern tunnel entrance, many small fire dragon beasts covered in flames appeared one after another. They were about 2 or 3 meters tall. From the aura they emitted, the lowest level was at the middle 5th grade. Boom! Boom! In an instant, there were more than 50 small fiery dragons emerging from the tunnel entrance. Their bodies were spewing hot flames. It's over, it's over! The Iron Bone disciples' eyes were filled with despair. Not only did the fiery dragon not die, it also summoned so many small fiery dragons. Even if it recovered, it would be difficult to fight against it. Ta! Ta! Suddenly, Jun Changxiao walked over step by step, playing with the sword in his hand. Then he stopped 10 meters away from the fiery dragon, facing the 50 small fiery dragons. Li Qingyang said weakly, "Sect leader, run. Babies, it's been hard on you." Jun Changxiao gently raised his head and said with a murderous look, "Leave the rest to me." Roar! More than 50 small fiery dragons rushed over angrily. Jun Changxiao's right index and middle fingers pinched the hilt of the sword. His eyes were cold. Bankai! Clang light flashed and the wind whistled. The injured Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, Yi Xingchen and Lu Qianqian, as well as the standing Su Xiaoma, Li Fei and Zhou Hong were all dumbfounded. Their eyes gradually widened. What did they see to make such an expression? They saw that the sect leader's toy knife, which looked smaller than a dagger, was extremely long after it was unsheathed. It was at least 13 feet long. Under normal circumstances, a spear was already considered a long weapon. Now that a saber was actually so long, Li Qingyang and the others would definitely be stupefied. Behind the black wind stockade, Jun Changxiao once again pulled out the unstoppable blade, exuding a heavy and powerful aura as usual. Shua! He held the 40-meter-long broadsword in one hand and raised it at a slanted angle. He looked at the 50-odd small fire dragons that were charging at him with disdain in his eyes. Hoo-hoo! At the same time, the saber emitted a heavy and powerful aura, which instantly spread throughout the scorching land. Jie! In an instant, the 50-odd small fire dragons were bound and stopped in their tracks. They were only a few meters away from Jun Changxiao. The anger in their eyes was replaced by fear. They wanted to move, but they couldn't. There seemed to be some kind of terrifying force in the air that bound their bodies. Shua! Jun Changxiao suddenly raised his broadsword and swept it horizontally. He said, "Give them a proper burial." The 40-meter-long broadsword flashed and swept across the wheat field like a sickle. The heads of the 10-odd small fire dragons at the front all flew out at the same time. Li Qingyang and the others' eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Shua! Jun Changxiao raised his broadsword again and swept it across. Just like that, he swept it from left to right, and from right to left again. After a few continuous sweeps, all 50 small fire dragons were beheaded by the broadsword. Everyone was dumbfounded. More than 50 ferocious beasts that were comparable to 5th-grade martial masters were killed by the sect leader so easily. The scene was extremely terrifying. Jun Changxiao raised his broadsword and looked sideways at the restrained fire dragon. He said coldly, "How dare you hurt my Iron Bone disciple? Today I'll cut you into 8 pieces." Shua! The 40-meter-long broadsword fell. The fire dragon that couldn't move had an unprecedented fear in its eyes. A strong sense of death surged in its heart, making it realize that it didn't have long to live. Puchi! Puchi! The broadsword flashed and intertwined like a net. After a while Jun Changxiao stopped. The flaming dragon beast's head was separated from its body and fell to the ground with a loud boom. Its body began to fall off piece by piece like a cucumber being sliced by a kitchen knife. Gulp. Everyone swallowed their saliva in unison. A fifth-grade ferocious beast was cut into 8 pieces by the sect leader so easily. It was really shocking. Ding! All the ferocious beasts have been killed. The conditions have been met. The second epic mission is completed. The completion rate is 200%. The host has received 1,000 contribution points. Ding! Contribution points. 15001000. Ding! There are excess contribution points. The host must spend them within 24 hours. Otherwise, the excess contribution points will be deducted automatically. 1,000 contribution points directly. Jun Changshao didn't even have time to show his excitement when the clear and melodious voice rang in his ears again. Ding! The host has exceeded the requirements of the epic mission. The host has received a middle-grade sect leader's ball X1, a middle-grade strength increasing talisman X1, a supreme-grade tempering liquid X1, and a certain amount of experience points. Huff huff. The moment the voice rang out, the spiritual energy in Jun Changshao's dantian started to refine itself. Although the quantity was decreasing, the purity was increasing gradually. Ding! The host has successfully broken through to a first-grade martial master. Ding! 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 The host has successfully broken through to a fourth-grade martial master. As the spiritual energy in the vortex became purer, and as his cultivation soared, it finally stopped at the fourth-grade martial master. Jun Changshao could feel his strength rising in an instant, and that feeling was incomparably exhilarating. Not bad, not bad. The system said. The completion rate is 200%. The host has not only become a martial master, but also a fourth-grade martial master. Jun Changshao said with dissatisfaction. After completing the first epic mission, I broke through to a 5th-grade martial disciple from a 12th-grade meridian opening stage. The system broke down and said, the higher the level, the harder it is to increase it. The host should learn to be content with breaking through to a 4th-grade martial master with a high completion rate. How can I be content without entering the martial emperor realm? Jun Changshao said. There was nothing wrong with those words. After completing the second epic mission, Jun Changshao finally entered the martial master realm from a martial disciple. Moreover, he directly reached the 4th grade. It had to be said that he was very powerful. Li Qingyang and the others were dumbstruck, lying on the ground and standing. Just now, they saw with their own eyes that the sect leader's body was emitting the aura of a breakthrough. Then it continued to increase like a hot knife through butter. Heavens! What did I just see? Even Yi Xingchen, who had been reincarnated as a martial emperor, was deeply shocked when he realized that the sect leader's cultivation was increasing rapidly. He thought to himself, did he break through or did he release his hidden cultivation? Ha ha ha. Jun Changshao laughed loudly. He laughed very happily. After completing the epic mission, not only did he increase his level, he also received a middle-grade sect leader ball, a middle-grade strength increasing talisman, and a bottle of top-grade aptitude changing liquid. It was already good enough that he didn't die from laughing. However, after confirming that there were no ferocious beasts in the valley, he sheathed his blade. Then, sect leader Jun's body seemed to have been hollowed out. Then he collapsed to the ground like mud. P.S. Requesting recommendation tickets, requesting monthly tickets. Chapter 196. The strength of the hard-to-withdraw blade was not only in its sharpness, but also in its aura. It could bind its target at will. The Zhou Tianba of the past and the fire dragon of today, whether it was a martial disciple or a Wuzong, they all became souls under the blade of this godly weapon. Although the hard-to-withdraw blade was heaven-defying, it also had a big flaw. It couldn't be used continuously after it was drawn out. After it was withdrawn, the user's body would be instantly drained. Sect leader Jun, who had just become a 4th-grade martial master, should have been full of energy. However, he was powerless and collapsed on the ground. The weakness would last for 30 minutes. During this time, an ordinary person could easily crush him to death. He completed the epic mission. He received a lot of rewards and experience. Using an opening talisman was definitely worth it. Yi Xingchen sat cross-legged with difficulty. He thought to himself, my injuries are too severe. I will need at least a month to recover. Forcefully using the high-level inverse the universe would cause a backlash to the body. Moreover, he was heavily injured. Being able to sit up was thanks to the foundation of his body. Damn it. That guy actually had such a powerful weapon. Why didn't he take it out earlier? He even made us risk our lives to kill the fire dragon. That's right. Why? Because Jun Changxiao didn't expect the fire dragon to be so powerful. When Xiao Ziji was about to be swept by the tail, he summoned the hard-to-withdraw blade and crushed the opening talisman. The blade was about to be unsheathed. However, Yi Xingqian and Li Qingyang's help made him give up on the idea of using the blade. This kind of help from fellow disciples could not only improve their relationship, but also their tacit understanding. It couldn't be destroyed easily. Jun Changxiao also believed that after Yi Xingqian used his strange martial technique, and Li Qingyang put up the hard iron shield, the three of them would at most be severely injured. Their lives wouldn't be in danger. As expected, the three of them didn't die, but they were all injured. Later, Lu Qianqian and Zhou Hong, one freezing the fire dragon, and the other slashing twice with his sword, pushed their disciples' cooperation to the extreme. Although they couldn't do anything to the huge monster, Jun Changxiao gave them full recognition and high praise for their cooperation in this battle. If my iron bone has such a disciple, why would I worry about not being able to become stronger? Later, dozens of small fire dragons appeared. Jun Changxiao could not watch any longer. He drew his sword to clean up the mess. Tell us about it. The iron bone disciples worked together to fight the monsters. In the end, the one who came out to show off was Jun Changxiao. AI. Yi Xingqian sighed and began to operate the Taishan Sutra to repair his damaged meridians. But then again, he had the support of the Taishan Sutra, which could neutralize a lot of power. Those two guys were definitely more seriously injured than him. Shua. Li Qingyang and Xiao Ziji jumped up. Sect leader. The two of them walked over and helped Jun Changxiao up. Are you alright? This Yi Xingqian's eyes widened. No. They should have been seriously injured. How could they look like they were completely fine? Especially Xiao Ziji. After being hit 3 times in a row, even if his body was made of iron, he would still suffer from serious internal injuries. Night Emperor thought that he was the one with the lightest injuries among the three of them. However, when he saw the two of them supporting the sect leader, he immediately suffered a heavy blow. Could it be that I'm too weak? As soon as this thought arose, Yi Xingqian, who had a strong ego, could not suppress his injuries and spat out a mouthful of blood. Junior brother Yi, Xiao Ziji said, hurry up and eat the healing pill. Yi Xingqian clutched his chest and smiled bitterly. He thought to himself, how can that low-level healing pill heal my internal injuries? At this moment, he saw Lu Qianqian take out a healing pill and swallow it. The fire dragons broke free from the ice. This woman must have suffered serious internal injuries. How could the healing pill alone suppress her injuries? Shua. Lu Qianqian stood up. The paleness on her face dissipated. She brushed the messy hair on her forehead. Ga. Yi Xingqian's facial muscles stiffened. The next second, he took out the healing pill and looked at it in disbelief. Jun Changxiao had given him energy-gathering pills and qi-whirling pills. But the low-level healing pill was given on the way to Death Valley. He just casually said that he could take it if he suffered serious injuries. The healing pill was a low-level pill. Could it heal faster than his Taishan Sutra? Yi Xingqian took the pill and casually threw it into his interspatial ring, without thinking much of it. Junior brother Yi, hurry up and eat the pill. We still have to clean up the battlefield. Li Qingyang urged. Yi Xingqian hesitated for a moment, then opened his mouth and swallowed the pill. The pill spread, and the damaged meridians in his body quickly healed. He jumped up and the shock in his heart grew stronger. The upper realm. It must be a pill from the upper realm. Yi Xingqian began to imagine. There was nothing he could do about it. As a martial emperor in his previous life, he had never eaten a healing pill that could heal injuries instantly. Zhou Hong also hurriedly took out a pill and swallowed it, but it was useless. Strange. He was puzzled. Why is it useless? Of course it was useless. The low-level healing pill was only suitable for meridian opening and martial disciples. Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, and the others who had recovered from their injuries began to clean up the battlefield and pick up the spoils. 1 high-grade 5th-grade crystal core. More than 30 mid-grade 5th-grade crystal cores. 500 caddies of fire dragon stones. The fire dragon beast's skin was too rough and was of no value, so they only took the bones. Of course, they would have to throw out more items. It was a pity that the rogue cultivators who followed them to pick up the scraps, but left at the crucial moment. Otherwise, when Iron Bone came in to pick them up, they would have gained a lot more. After defeating the last boss, they received contribution points, rewards, experience, and so many materials. It was a great harvest after completing this epic mission. 30 minutes later, the feeling of weakness dissipated. Jun Changshao also jumped up with a swoosh. His spirit also became energetic. Sect leader, Li Qingyang said, "The cleaning is almost done. Have you searched the gourd where the little fire dragon beast rushed out?" Junior brother Su and junior brother Li are searching. Sect leader, there is a dragon egg. At this moment, Su Xiaoma and Li Fei ran out of the tunnel. The two of them worked together to drag an egg wrapped in spider silk. The egg was as big as a watermelon. The eggshell was white, and there were red patterns on the surface. Jun Changshao carefully looked at it, thought for a moment and said, "Bring it back to the sect." Sect leader. Su Xiaoma scratched his head and said, "There is a life in the egg. We can't put it in the space ring. It will be troublesome if it breaks on the way." Jun Changshao said, "Put the egg on the shield and tie it with spider silk. You can carry it on your back." Good idea. Su Xiaoma hurriedly took action. Soon, the dragon egg was fixed on the inside of the iron shield with spider silk, and then Li Fei carried it on his back. "Senior brother," Li Fei asked in a daze, "why do you want me to carry it?" Su Xiaoma patted his shoulder and said seriously, "Capable people do more work." Jun Changshao glanced at the scorching land and found nothing. He waved his hand and said, "Let's go back the way we came." "Senior brother Long, why is there no movement?" Li Yuhua, who was standing guard outside, asked worriedly. "I don't know." Long Xiang was even more worried than him. Li Yuhua said weakly, "Well, sect leader and senior brother, don't jinx it." Long Xiang interrupted. "Sect leader is out." At this moment, Zhang Wei shouted excitedly. Long Xiang and Li Yuhua hurriedly looked at the tunnel entrance and saw sect leader and senior brothers coming out. They shouted, "Sect leader, has the fire dragon beast been dealt with?" "Nonsense," Jun Changshao said. "With me and your senior brothers, there is nothing in this world that can't be solved. Sect leader is mighty. Senior brother is mighty." Long Xiang and the others lowered their defenses and cheered happily. Chapter 197. Sect Master Jun is out. Oh my god, they look like nothing happened. Could it be that they killed the fire dragon? That's impossible. The square-faced middle-aged man and the other martial artists were still at the entrance of the tunnel. When they saw the Iron Bone disciples let down their guard and cheered excitedly, their eyes were filled with disbelief. No one would think that Sect Master Jun would stay at the entrance of the tunnel after bringing his disciples in. After all, the roar just now proved that the fire dragon had been alerted. Now that they could come out safely, it meant that the overlord of Death Valley, the fire dragon, was dead. It was too scary. They didn't dare to think about it. The martial artists were so shocked that they couldn't calm down. If it wasn't for the Iron Bone disciples blocking the entrance, they would have gone in to check it out. It's okay. Their chance came quickly. Jun Changshao brought his disciples to a clean area and rested there. Li Qingyang and the others recovered from their injuries with the help of healing pills, but they had to rely on the Yi Jin Jing to replenish their spiritual energy. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the square-faced martial artist and the other martial artists entered the tunnel and came to the scorching area. When they saw dozens of small fire dragons and their dismembered corpses, their legs trembled as they supported themselves on the stone wall. "This is the Iron Bone. What kind of monster is he?" After calming down, the square-faced martial artists rushed over. On the way, they even threw away the meat and bones in their spatial rings, because there were better things inside. From the moment they entered Death Valley, they were gambling. From the looks of it, The martial artists who could last until the end had won the gamble. Because if they took away all the things the Iron Bone didn't want, each of them could earn at least 40,000 to 50,000 taels of silver. This amount of money was nothing to Jun Changxiao. But to the martial artists who didn't belong to any sect, it wasn't a small amount. It could be exchanged for at least 4 to 5 spirit stones. Li Qingyang and the others started to use the Yi Jin Jing to absorb spiritual energy, to replenish their energy. Jun Changxiao merged into his spatial ring and held the top-grade aptitude modification liquid in his hand. This item was also sold in the purchased item column, but he didn't consider buying it because of the bottleneck in his realm and the high price. Now that he was rewarded with a bottle and saved 300 points, he felt great. Shua. Sect leader Jun took out the aptitude-changing liquid and drank it directly. It was still the same mellow malt flavor. After drinking one bottle, I still wanted a second bottle. Damn it. In the future, when he had hundreds of thousands or even millions of contribution points, he would buy it and drink it as beer. The system said, "Wash up and sleep." Ding. The host has used the aptitude modification liquid X1, modifying the spiritual root aptitude. Ding. The transformation of spiritual root aptitude is complete. Jun Changxiao's aptitude rose from high grade to supreme grade. Instantly, he felt that the spirit qi in the valley was several times denser than before. As one's spiritual root improved, one's perception of spiritual energy would become stronger. From high grade to superb grade, the increase in perception was even more terrifying. At this moment, Jun Changxiao did not doubt that when he sat down cross-legged and circulated the body metamorphose scripture, there would definitely be a massive amount of heaven and earth attributes swarming towards him. Ding! Host has successfully broken through to a 5th grade martial master. After the spiritual root was upgraded to the supreme grade, its level increased from the 4th grade to the 5th grade. Shua. Jun Changxiao clenched his fists. Spiritual energy instantly flowed into his arms from the cyclone, and he felt a burst of strength. When I was a peak martial disciple, my strength was around 30,000 jin. Now that I'm a 5th grade martial disciple, how much will my strength increase? The system said, every grade of martial master increases your strength by around 3,000 to 6,000 jin. According to the host's strength increase as a martial disciple, it should be around 80,000 jin. Jun Changxiao said, only 80,000? The word only was said very spiritually. Those martial masters who had entered the 5th grade, but only had around 40 to 50,000 jin of strength, would definitely hide in a corner and cry. The increase of every grade of strength was due to many factors, such as spiritual root aptitude, physical strength, and spiritual energy purity. Ordinary martial cultivators tended to have the lowest values. Average values were in the middle, and excellent values were in the highest values. After experiencing the molding pill, the muscle molding room, and the body metamorphose scripture tempering, Jun Changxiao's strength increase for every grade was definitely far beyond the maximum. After becoming a martial master, and with the support of a supreme grade spiritual root, it was reasonable for his strength to be much higher than martial artists of the same grade. Jun Changxiao was not the only one who was strong. Li Qingyang and the others had also taken the molding pill, cultivated the body metamorphose scripture, and had the muscle molding room to temper their bodies, so their strength increase definitely exceeded the upper limit. Under sect leader Jun's careful nurturing, although they were still very weak for the time being, their potential was very huge. Of course, the nurturing continued. Jun Changxiao said, with the extra 500 contribution points, I can consider buying a few bottles of supreme grade aptitude modifying liquid. Ding! The host has spent 600 contribution points and obtained aptitude modifying liquid X2. It has been transferred to the interspatial ring. Ding! Sect contribution points 9001000. He did not dare to buy too much. After all, if he bought 5 bottles of aptitude modifying liquid for 300 points, his contribution points would be empty. Sect leader Jun, who had no contribution points, would panic. Qingyang Zueji. Jun Changxiao waved his hand and said, come here. He planned to give the 2 bottles of aptitude-modifying liquid to Li Qingyang and Xiao Ziji. One of them worked hard to take care of the sect's internal affairs, and also worked part-time as a civil engineer. If there were any benefits to be given, he would definitely be the first choice. Xiao Ziji was also not bad, especially for his performance just now. It was necessary to give him a bottle of aptitude-modifying liquid. As for the other inner disciples, as long as they had enough contribution points, they would definitely not be lacking. Shua. Jun Changshao placed the 2 bottles of aptitude-modifying liquid on the stone and said, "1 bottle each, take it and drink it." Xiao Ziji was startled and immediately became overjoyed. He had drunk many bottles of this kind of spirit root modifying liquid. Now that the sect leader gave it to him, it meant that if he drank it, his spirit root would definitely be upgraded to supreme grade. Li Qingyang had never taken the aptitude-modifying liquid before, so he asked puzzledly, "Sect leader, what is this?" "Second senior brother." Xiao Ziji took a bottle and said, "Don't worry about it, drinking it will definitely be beneficial." With that, he opened the bottle and drank it. Whoosh whoosh. Xiao Ziji's spirit root had advanced from high grade to supreme grade, and his realm had also advanced from 6th grade to 8th grade martial disciple. Feeling the degree of spiritual energy perception, he raised his head and shouted, "I'm back." Yes, the once-in-a-thousand-years genius of Qingyang County had returned. 5 years ago, he fell from heaven to hell, tasting the warmth and coldness of human nature, and experiencing the cruelty of the world. 5 years later, as a disciple of the Ironbone clan, he broke through the cocoon and turned into a butterfly, once again spreading his colorful wings to soar between heaven and earth. "Sect leader," Xiao Ziji said, "I want to cry." "Listen carefully," Jun Changshao shouted. "The iron bone is the first rule. As a member of the sect, you are only allowed to bleed, not cry." "Yes," Xiao Ziji shouted. However, Jun Changshao said, "If you want to cry, then cry." This turn was too sudden. Xiao Ziji almost fell, and his mood to cry was instantly gone. Seeing that junior brother Zhao's temperament had changed greatly in an instant, Li Qingyang opened the bottle of aptitude-modifying liquid and drank it like tea. Whoosh whoosh. In an instant, his spirit root had advanced from high grade to supreme grade, and his realm had also advanced from 8th grade to 9th grade martial disciple. Feeling the increase in his realm and his perception of heaven and earth attributes, Li Qingyang patted his face and said, Is this a dream?" Xiao Ziji whispered the function of the aptitude-modifying liquid to him. After hearing this, Li Qingyang's expression immediately stiffened, and his hands trembled. The liquid could improve the quality of the spirit root. He originally had a high-grade spirit root. After consuming it, wouldn't it be supreme-grade spirit root? "Sect leader," Li Qingyang shouted, "I want to cry. Bear with it." "Yes." Chapter 198. Jun Changxiao's spirit root was upgraded to supreme grade. Li Qingyang and Xiao Ziji's spirit roots were also upgraded to supreme grade. 3 supreme grade spirit roots in one sect. If this news were to spread, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. After returning to supreme grade spirit roots, Xiao Ziji's possible poison that suppressed his spirit root had been removed. However, Jun Changxiao would not let it go. He had to find out who was the ruthless person who poisoned his disciple. Combined with the Xiao family's performance, Jun Changxiao guessed that the poison in Xiao Ziji's body was related to the former. Currently, he lacked strong evidence. "Xiao family, don't let me find any evidence, or I'll play you to death." When Xiao Ziji was poisoned, although he was not an iron bone disciple, Jun Changxiao had to seek justice for him. "Because I'm protective of my own people. What can you do about it?" After a short rest, Li Qingyang and the others had finished replenishing their spiritual energy. "Let's go." Jun Changxiao led his disciples and left the area. However, they did not leave Death Valley, because there was still a middle-grade sect leader ball. They had to catch a cool mount. Pig riding? Impossible. If they wanted to ride, they had to ride a tiger, leopard, wolf, or lion. After breaking through to 5th grade martial master, Jun Changxiao felt that he was slightly invincible. Therefore, he did not dare to enter the calabash before. but he did not hesitate to enter as long as he passed by. Roar! In a certain area, a high-grade bear beast dragged its huge body out of the forest. Its thick bare paws swept over, instantly sweeping away trees. Shua! Zhou Hong walked out, and was about to draw his sword. Back off, I'll do it. While speaking, Jun Changshao held the iron shield in his left hand, and the overlord's chi in his right hand. He used ghost leap steps and rushed over. Boom! 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 In an instant he, who had more than 80,000 gene of strength, fought with the high-grade ferocious beast, whose strength was more than 100,000 gene. Oh my god, the sect leader is so powerful. Why didn't he make a move earlier? Is there a need to think, the sect leader must be doing this to train us? The iron-bone disciples began to fill in the blankness of the fight between the sect leader and the big bear. Roar! After more than 10 minutes of intense battle, the overlord's spear's shockwave finally pierced through the heart of the great bear beast, causing it to fall to the ground with a miserable cry. Jun Changshao landed on the corpse and roared, "Who else? Mighty sect leader! Mighty sect leader!" The group of disciples shouted, and their admiration for the sect leader grew even stronger. In the vast Qi sect, Jun Changshao had to rely on the strength-increasing talisman and the green dragon crescent blade to barely defeat the rank 1 Wuzong Qin Haoran. Now that he had broken through to 5th grade martial master, he was able to kill vicious beasts 1 grade higher, with only the elementary grade unyielding iron shield and overlord spear. This was the proof of his explosive increase in strength. Let me ask you, are you awesome? Ah, inside the bottle gourd, Junimo Xia was clutching the ball in his hand and was frantically running away with his tongue hanging out. Behind him, a male and a female rank 2 leopard beasts were chasing after him. The male leopard even had a big bump on his head. Yes, it was hit by the sect leader's ball. This meant that even middle-grade martial masters couldn't catch vicious beasts. Senior martial brother, the situation is not right. The sect leader seems to be in danger. Should we go and help? Don't worry, don't panic. In my opinion, the sect leader should be borrowing the 2 leopard beasts to practice his agility. Hearing Li Qingyang's words, everyone suddenly understood. Su Xiaoma and Li Fei said in admiration, "When can we be like the sect leader, using 2 high-ranked vicious beasts to practice his agility?" Shua, shua. Jun Changshao used the ghostly leap steps to the extreme and frantically ran in circles inside. If he knew that the disciples were imagining that he was here to practice his agility, he would definitely vomit 3 liters of blood. Finally, after running a few more laps, he couldn't take it anymore and shouted, "You bastards, come and help me. I'm not showing off, I'm not awesome." After all, he was only a 5th grade martial master. Facing 2 rank 2 leopard beasts, he definitely couldn't fight them head-on. The land of ice. Lu Qianqian took the lead, and the ground quickly froze. No matter how fast Jun Changshao was, his feet would definitely touch the ground. Therefore, he accidentally stepped on it and slipped out. "Be careful, sect leader." Su Xiaoma and Li Fei hurriedly rushed to catch him. However, just as they stretched out their hands, Jun Changshao dashed through the gap between them and crashed into the stone wall with a bang. "I'm sorry, sect leader. We miscalculated and took 1 more step, and 1 less step." Roar! The 2 leopard beasts stopped in time and roared at Lu Qianqian. Then, they bypassed the ice on the ground and rushed toward her from the left and right. 9 layers of ice sealing palm. Ka. Suddenly, the cold air spread out and solidified, turning into a crystal clear ice hand. "Oh my god! What kind of martial arts technique is that? It's so cool!" the disciples exclaimed. Swish! Lu Qianqian controlled the ice hands and caught the leopard beast coming from the right like catching a chicken. Then, she quickly froze it. Yi Xingchen stepped forward and used the linear sword technique. In an instant, 30 sword auras intertwined and ruthlessly cut the frozen beast into 8 pieces. If he couldn't deal with a fire-type beast that was 5 grades higher, and couldn't kill a fire-type beast that was 2 grades higher, how could he be qualified to be called a martial emperor? Boom! A collision sound came from the left. The other leopard beast was blocked by Xiao Ziji's defensive barrier, but it only took 1 step back. This beast with a strength of 150,000 catties was much more docile compared to the fiery dragon that could easily unleash 500,000 catties of strength. Not to mention, with the increase in aptitude and realm, Xiao Ziji was no longer the Xiao Ziji from before. Sword technique graceful. Zhou Hong came from the side and directly split the leopard beast into two with his unparalleled sword aura. The few of them once again cooperated as a team. Obviously, they had more tacit understanding than when they were dealing with the fire-type beast. After dealing with the two ferocious beasts, Li Qingyang took the crystal cores and bones. As for the sect leader Jun, who had failed to act pretentious, he rubbed his sore arm and said, "Let's go to the next area." Next, he became more cautious. After entering the other gourds, he first determined the level and number of the beasts before deciding whether to kill them or not. Sect leader. Just as they reached the entrance of a tunnel that connected to another area, Su Xiaoma exclaimed, "Look, there's a tiger beast that can spit out electricity." Jun Changxiao hurriedly looked. Sure enough, he saw a tiger beast with a purple mane and electric arcs lingering under its feet at the entrance of the tunnel. Yi Xingchen was quite stunned. I didn't expect that there would be such a rare fire-type tiger cub in this low-level beast valley. It was more than 2 meters tall, and it was still a cub? Wouldn't it be 8 or 9 meters tall when it reached adulthood? Since it was a cub, its level was certainly not high, and it was also stepping on thunder and lightning. Sect leader Jun had no reason not to catch it. Go, sect leader ball. Jun Changxiao poured his power into the sect leader ball and threw it out fiercely. The purple lightning cub seemed to be aware of the danger and hurriedly turned around to run inside, instantly leaving behind afterimages of thunder and lightning. One word: handsome. Shua. Jun Changxiao used ghostly leap, picked up the sect leader ball, and chased along the tunnel entrance. The purple lightning cub's speed was relatively slow, and the distance between them was shortened in a few breaths. Shua. Jun Changxiao threw the sect leader ball again. This time, he used a lot of strength, and the speed was also very fast, accurately hitting the purple lightning cub's buttocks at the end of the tunnel. Jie. The tiger beast suddenly stopped, and the purple lightning in its eyes suddenly turned turbid. When it woke up, it picked up the sect leader ball with its mouth and wagged its tail. This meant that the capture was successful. Ha ha ha. Jun Changxiao laughed and rubbed the purple lightning cub's head, smiling. From today onwards, you are my pet. Because it had directly become a contract beast, the purple lightning arcs lingering around its body did not cause him any harm. Roar. At this moment, a deafening roar was heard from the front. Jun Changxiao only felt that the sky had darkened, and then he looked up in amazement. He saw a ferocious beast bigger than the fire dragon beast, suddenly standing up in the valley. Chapter 199. As long as it was hit by the gate palm ball and met the capture conditions, it would immediately sign a contract with the user and become a contracted beast. Simple and convenient. If a martial artist from the Falling Star continent wanted to tame even the lowest level beast, they would have to go through complicated procedures. The fastest would be a few hours, the slowest would be a few days. Let me reiterate. I, Jun Changxiao, am not cheating. The purple lightning tiger cub was much more handsome than the red fire wolf king. After successfully capturing it, sect leader Jun immediately began to imagine riding the tiger on the boundless grassland and singing, "You are the wind, I am the sand." Roar. A roar pulled Jun Changxiao back to reality. He looked up in shock and saw a huge monster gradually piling up. Whoosh, whoosh. The stones that were scattered all around suddenly flew up and circled around the gradually erect big fellow, and gradually merged into it. In the end, a 20-meter-long beast made of stone appeared in front of Jun Changxiao, forcing him to raise his head to look at it. Even the fire dragon beast from before was much shorter in front of this beast. The stone beast had the same physical features as a human. Its head was also made of stones, revealing 2 rays of light similar to eyes. Jun Changxiao's mouth twitched. Is this a beast or a monster? If it was not a monster, then it was a beast. It was a rare stone beast called the Stone Man, and its strength was 5 stages higher. Although its name was bad, its combat power was very strong. Even the fire dragon beast did not dare to provoke it, because it could not defeat it. Roar! After the stone man appeared, it opened its mouth and roared like a beast again. It was ear-piercing and mind-shattering. Jun Changxiao frowned and said, "Little Hohu, quickly enter." The sound stopped abruptly. Because the purple lightning tiger cub had disappeared, the Tai Chi pattern on the gate palm ball dimmed. Damn! This little guy ran away so fast. Swish! Jun Changxiao grabbed the gate palm ball and fled outside. From the thickness of the big guy's body, he could tell that it was not weaker than the fire dragon beast. Not only was it not weaker, it was even stronger. Stone and lightning were both rare attributes in the falling star continent, much stronger than fire and earth. Take the stone golem for example. Its entire body was made of stone. If it used its small fists to punch you in the chest, you would definitely be smashed into a pile of minced meat. Not only was the stone element's attack power strong, but its defense was also strong. It was absolutely capable of both offense and defense. The fire dragon beast's flames couldn't do anything to the stone golem. It would definitely be hammered until it started to doubt its existence. With Jun Changxiao's current strength, he would definitely not be able to defeat such an existence. Therefore, running away was the wisest choice. Boom boom. However, just as he was about to run away, the stone walls in front of him suddenly trembled violently. Then, they quickly closed together and sealed the exit. Fuck! Jun Changxiao's brain was very strong. The moment the exit was sealed, he stepped on the stone wall and rushed up. Boom boom! The closed stone wall continued to rise, and in the blink of an eye, it protruded 20 to 30 meters. Even though Jun Changxiao had ghostly steps, and could jump 5 to 6 meters without a problem, he still couldn't fly. After climbing for more than 10 meters, there was no place for him to stand on. The worst thing was the originally uneven stone wall suddenly became smooth. Sect leader Jun's feet slipped, and he instantly turned into a skateboard youth. He slid down from above, and slid to the foot of the stone golem. The air suddenly froze. Jun Changxiao stood in front of the stone golem's foot. Needless to say, with his 178 meters height, he didn't look too short since he could reach the stone golem's ankle. Hee. Jun Changxiao raised his head and laughed dryly. Brother Stone, it's fate that we met. After retracting the energy that was controlling the stone wall, the stone golem directly lifted its foot and stomped down with the power of fate. Huff huff. The wind howled, and a heavy aura was emitted. The strength of this foot was definitely more than 600,000 jin. Sect leader Jun was so frightened that he used ghostly steps to escape. Boom! The huge foot landed, and the earth shook. Huff huff. Jun Changxiao, who had dodged, was breathing rapidly. His forehead and back were covered in cold sweat. He thought to himself, this big fellow is too strong. Huff! At this moment, the stone golem turned around and swung its small fist over. Its strength was as strong as ever. When it attacked, it was as if it was holding a small mountain. It would be strange if it didn't explode. Shwa! Shwa! Jun Changxiao didn't dare to fight it head-on. He used ghostly steps to go around to the other side and said, Brother Stone, it's fate that we met. Why don't we sit down and talk about life and dreams? Huff! The fist that carried the power of life and dreams swept over again. This time, Sect leader Jun could only continue to run. The advantage of the stone golem was that it could attack and defend. It could even control the surrounding stones to seal the exit. However, its weakness was also very obvious. It was slow. Jun Changxiao didn't dare to fight it head-on. However, he relied on ghostly steps to avoid it. Boom! 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 Shwa! 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 The stone golem continuously raised its fist and attacked. Sect leader Jun turned into an agile monkey and kept running around the mouth of the gourd. Sect leader must be under attack inside. At the entrance of the tunnel, Li Qingyang and the others frowned as they felt the tremors from the ground. Yi Xingchen looked at the protruding stone wall and guessed. There should be a very strong stone-type beast inside. It controlled the stones to seal the interior. Li Qingyang and Xiao Ziji's expressions changed. Stone-type beasts were rare. Sect leader was definitely in danger if he was trapped inside. Junior brother Su, Li Qingyang pointed up and said, Can you climb up? I'll try. Su Xiaomo retreated dozens of meters and used ghostly steps to sprint 100 meters. However, he couldn't go up until he reached a point where he couldn't stand. After all, he was smart. When his body was about to fall, he took out the cold-edged sword and stabbed at the stone wall. Ding! The stone was extremely tough. The sword bounced off. Damn! It's so hard. Aya! Aya! Su Xiaomo didn't have time to think. He immediately slid down the stone wall. Boom! Boom! Inside the sealed gourd, Jun Changshao was still trying his best to escape. His expression could be described as brilliant. Although he could rely on his speed to avoid the attacks, if he walked by the river, how could his shoes not get wet? If he was careless and got hit, he would be in danger. Big guy. After dodging another several 100,000 gene attack, Jun Changshao stabilized his body and said angrily, "Don't fucking refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit." Whoosh! A heavy foot came crashing down on him, forcing him to retreat. Ding! Side mission activated. What? Giving me a mission at this time? After dodging the foot, Jun Changshao hurriedly opened the data panel. The side mission showed the words time limit mission. Time limit mission? This is the first time I've seen it. Could it be that I have to solve the target within a certain time limit? Jun Changshao clicked on the time limit mission, and a more detailed explanation appeared. The content was please persist in the sealed valley for 5 hours. Countdown 4:59, 58 fuck. This mission is cheating. Chapter 200. A 5th stage stone golem's casual attack had a force of 600,000 gene. Jun Changshao did not dare to take it head-on, and could only use ghost steps to dodge. Fortunately, the big guy's attack wasn't fast, so he was able to deal with it safely. However, using ghost walking would consume spiritual energy. With the energy in Jun Changshao's cyclone, it wouldn't be a problem for him to use it for a while. But if he used it for a long time, he would definitely die. However, at this time, there was a time limit mission that required him to persist for 5 hours. If it was a normal journey, it wouldn't be a problem to use ghost walking for 5 hours. But now, it was to save his life. He would have to run as fast as he could. If he could maintain it for 2 hours, it would be amazing. What was this? An impossible mission? The system said, time limit missions are very rare. If the host completes it, you will receive a generous reward. Jun Changshao roared. Who can complete this mission? He also wanted to complete it and receive a generous reward. But what he was thinking about now was how to escape. Mission. If he lost his life, what kind of mission was this? Wait a minute. Jun Changshao, who had dodged the stone man's attack, thought of something and said, if I get rid of the big guy and sit here for 5 hours, wouldn't it be fine? System. This was really a godlike way of thinking. Jun Changshao whispered, it's impossible to hide for 5 hours. I can only go all out and get rid of this guy. Good. That's it. Shwa. Jun Changshao faced the stone man who raised his arm and said with cold eyes, Stone monster, you have successfully annoyed me. Wang. Light flashed in his hand, and Han Feng's sword was summoned. Hu the stone man swung his huge arm, carrying a terrifying force. Shwa. Jun Changshao used ghost walking to avoid the heavy fist, and then rushed forward with his sword, shouting, 9-style wave stacking sword. Shwa. 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 Sword light flashed, and sword chi stacked. Jun Changshao rushed to the front of the stone man, jumped into the air, and used the 9th style of the sword art. The unparalleled sword chi directly hit the stone man's thigh. There was no effect. Not even a sword mark was left. Shwa. After Jun Changshao landed, he used ghost leap steps to retreat, barely avoiding the attack of the other large hand. Damn it. This guy was too tough. The system said, the defense of a stone-type beast is extremely strong. Even the low-grade cold-edge sword can't hurt it. Understood. Jun Changshao withdrew his sword and said, what you mean is that cold-edge sword won't work, but green dragon crescent blade will. Who said that? Can your brain not jump around like this? Pa inside the spatial ring, the elementary strength increasing talisman was crushed. Feeling the sudden increase in strength, Jun Changshao's lips curled up as he laughed. My strength is around 80,000, and with a boost of 5 times, it should be around 480,000 Jin. With the green dragon crescent blade, killing it should be a piece of cake. Wait, the system said, isn't 5 times 836? Jun Changshao said nonchalantly, who cares? As long as my strength increases. The system poured cold water on him and said, there is an upper limit to the beginner grade strength increasing talisman. With the host's current level, it can be increased to a maximum of 300,000 pounds. 30W. That's only a difference of 100,000, it's acceptable. The system was speechless and said, in a battle of the same level, a difference of 10 to 20,000 Jin can change the outcome. A difference of 100,000 is quite big. Can you not fucking hurt me? Oh, the stone man attacked again. Because it couldn't take down this human, it directly threw out 2 pairs of arms and blocked all escape routes. Jun Changsha's calculations were precise. He used Ghost Leap to charge forward, and smoothly slipped through the gap between the 2 large hands. Shwa! His right foot stepped on the ground, and flew into the air. Wung! When his body flew to a certain height, Jun Changshao swung his blade. The green dragon crescent blade appeared in his hands, and instantly exploded with an aura of righteousness. 300,000 Jin of strength was poured into the blade, causing the blade to condense a strong sharpness. Warm wine slaying Huaxiong. Shwa! Jun Changshao held the blade and suddenly chopped down, directly hitting the stone man's leg. Instantly, the sound of metal colliding with stone was heard and sparks flew out. As expected of the godly modified Guan Yu's weapon, it directly chopped off a big stone. Shwa! Jun Changshao landed and circled around the stone man with his blade. He was secretly overjoyed. With 300,000 Jin of strength, the blade is much lighter than before. Roar! Chopping off a big stone was equivalent to chopping off a big piece of meat. The stone man immediately let out a painful and angry roar. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Jun Changshao went around to the back and directly chopped at the foot of the stone man. Chopping off the leg, or the body would definitely not deal a heavy blow. If the foot was chopped off, the huge body would not be able to support it. Slaying Yin Liang. Boom! The blade chopped directly on the ankle, leaving a half-meter deep scar. Slaying Wen Chou. Boom! Overcoming 5 obstacles, slaying 6 generals. Boom! Jun Changshao's casual shouting was taken from the story of Guan Yu in The Romance of the 3 Kingdoms. Readers who are knowledgeable about the past and present, please do not compare it with The Romance of the 3 Kingdoms. Drowning the 7 armies. Boom! In an extremely short period of time, Jun Changshao chopped 4 times consecutively, all at the ankle, leaving a 2-meter deep scar. The stone man's ankle was 3 meters wide, so it was not chopped off directly. Huff! At this moment, the giant fist came crashing down. Its strength directly increased to 700,000 Jin, causing a strong wind to blow. Boom! The ground trembled. Jun Changshao, who had dodged in advance, stood at the end of the stone wall. He held his blade and mocked. Big guy, I'm here. Come on, come on. Roar! The stone man roared angrily and took a step forward. Kacha! However, when it lifted one of its legs, the leg that had been chopped off could not withstand the force of the body, and broke in an instant. With its leg and foot separated, the stone man lost its balance and fell down like a mountain. Kaboom! The huge body fell to the ground, causing the surrounding mountain walls to tremble. On the mountain wall at the entrance of the tunnel, Su Xiaoma, who had climbed up with difficulty with the help of the spider silk, lost his grip and fell down with an iya sound. Thud thud thud. Taking advantage of the stone man's fall, Jun Changshao was about to rush over with his blade. However, he was dumbfounded the next second. This was because the rocks that were scattered all over the place flew over and gathered around the broken leg, quickly condensing into a huge foot. Damn it! It can even repair broken limbs. Huff huff. The stone man stood up again. Its hollow eyes flashed fiercely. Obviously it was furious to the extreme. Shwa! It opened its arms and hugged the soldier beside it. Suddenly, it tore out a large piece of the soldier. Hiss! Jun Changshao sucked in a breath of cold air. The mountain wall that was pulled out by the stone man was 6 to 7 meters long. Huff! The stone man lifted the stone wall with both hands and smashed it down. Jun Changshao saw that the situation was not good and quickly fled. Kaboom! Just as he ran over, the stone wall fell down. Not only did it cause the ground to tremble, but it also caused a gust of wind, causing him to almost lose his balance. Roar! The stone man lifted the stone wall again and smashed it at the escaping Jun Changshao. Kaboom! Kaboom! It kept smashing like a game of whack-a-mole. Although Jun Changshao would not be hit for a while, using the green dragon crescent blade and ghostly steps would not only affect his speed, but also consume more spiritual energy. I can't afford to drag this out. I have to get rid of this big guy as soon as possible. Jun Changshao roared in his heart. How do I activate the green dragon crescent blade's special effect? The system said, integrate your mind into the blade and communicate with Wu Sheng's soul inside. Kaboom! Jun Changshao dodged again and stopped in a safe area. He pressed the blade against the ground, and his eyes were filled with anger. Big guy, you've really angered me now. Huff huff. Suddenly, the green dragon crescent blade emitted a green aura that spread behind Jun Changshao and gradually condensed into an illusory figure. It was a man about 2 to 3 meters tall. He had slanted eyebrows, slanted eyes, and a long beard. He wore a green robe and armor, and held the illusory green dragon crescent blade in his hand. Jun Changshao, who was standing in front of the illusory figure, was like a child in contrast. Shua! The illusory figure slowly raised the blade and proudly said, I am Guan Yunchang, the Marquis of Hanshou Ting. Chapter 201. Jun Changshao communicated with the green dragon crescent blade with his mind, and his soul instantly merged with it. It was an independent space, and a lifelike stone statue stood in it, emitting an aura of righteousness. Slouching silkworm eyebrows, red phoenix eyes, and long beard. This was Lord Guanyu. Jun Changshao hurriedly bowed with his hands clasped in front of him. Swoosh! Lord Guanyu's eyes shone as if he was alive. When Jun Changshao bowed to Lord Guan, the green dragon crescent blade in the outside world emitted a green stream of light, forming a majestic shadow. This was Guanyu. This was the soul of Wu Sheng. Although it did not have a physical body, the aura around it was daunting. I am Guan Yunchang, the Marquis of Hanshou Ting. Lord Guanyu raised his blade, and his voice was as loud as a bell. His words were extremely arrogant. If a martial cultivator was present, he would definitely be shocked. However, in front of him was a giant stone man who did not know how to behave. Not only did he not show any respect, he even raised the mountain wall and smashed it down. The explosive force was even stronger than before. That abominable human suddenly stopped. He had to seize the opportunity to smash him into meat paste. Whoosh! Whoosh! The stone wall was pressing down, and the wind was howling. Facing the powerful force, Jun Changshao did not panic at all. Holding the green dragon crescent blade tightly, he bent down slightly and said, Lord Guanyu, please give me strength. Swoosh! The eyes of Wu Sheng's soul shone, and a green stream of air enveloped him. Whoosh! Whoosh! In an instant, Jun Changshao's body emitted a green stream of air, and the strength in his arms increased rapidly. How much did it increase? He did not know. There was only one thought in his mind. Swing the blade. Stomp. Jun Changshao took a step forward, and the green dragon crescent blade slashed upward. In the process, Lord Guanyu behind him also swung his blade. At that moment, the two of them seemed to have merged into one. Swoosh! An incomparably powerful crescent moon shot out. The saber light flew and slashed across the mountain wall that was pressing down. In an instant, a slender green saber mark appeared. Crack! 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 The mountain wall collapsed and cracked. Jun Changshao stood in place, his eyes flashing with the green light, his expression incomparably proud. The two halves of the stone wall fell to the left and right sides with a loud bang, causing the ground to shake and dust to fly everywhere. With a single slash, the giant boulder that the stone golem had gathered its strength to smash down was cut in half. This was absolutely terrifying. However, the horror had only just begun. Shwa! Jun Changshao leaped up, and before the stone golem's arm could retract, the green dragon crescent blade slashed out again. Behind him, Master Guan Yu also waved his saber. Their movements were synchronized. Swish, swish, swish. Saber light flashed. The green light was dazzling. When he reached the highest point, Jun Changshao raised his saber and chopped down again, shouting loudly, "I am Han Shou Ting Marquis Guan Yunchang." Whoosh, the powerful green stream of light shot out and swept across the stone golem's head. After passing through it, it gradually disappeared into the world. Ta! Jun Changshao landed on the ground, holding the green dragon crescent blade in front of him. Behind him, the shadow of Guan Yu also stood proudly, stroking his long beard, looking mighty and extraordinary. Roar! The stone golem let out a sorrowful roar. Its entire body suddenly appeared with green saber marks, and finally, it began to crack. Boom! Boom! In an instant, the beast that was as tall as a small mountain collapsed into a pile of stones. Phew! Jun Changshao exhaled. Behind him, Master Guan Yu's soul gradually dissipated, turning into a green stream of air that merged into the green dragon crescent blade. It directly killed a stone golem that was 5 grades higher. This special effect was really strong. Rumble! The terrain of the sealed tunnel began to shake, gradually breaking apart, and then returned to its previous state. Aya! Su Xiaoma, who had just climbed up the mountain wall with great difficulty, fell down again due to the changes in the terrain and the sudden retraction. The sealed entrance opened. Li Qingyang and the others rushed in and saw the sect leader standing with a saber. Everyone surrounded him. Sect leader, Xiao Ziji said, "Are you okay?" After saying that, he shut his mouth. Because although Jun Changshao stood with a saber and looked extraordinary, after seeing his face, his eyelids rolled up and white foam came out of his mouth. He looked quite miserable. Sigh. The system muttered. The green dragon crescent blade's special effect is very strong. With the host's current realm, he will definitely be in for a tragedy. Relying on Wu Sheng's soul to kill the stone golem, Jun Chang stood on the spot because he used too much strength. His muscles were stiff, and he looked even more like a stone statue than Master Guan Yu. Senior brother, why is sect leader standing there? In my opinion, he should be cultivating a cultivation technique. Everyone, don't disturb him. He can cultivate while standing. Sect leader is too strong. The disciples around sect leader Jun looked at him with admiration again. Su Xiaoma looked at the pile of stones and jumped over in surprise. Soon he dug out a thick crystal core and said, "Senior brother, there is a crystal core in the stone pile." "This is not a stone pile," Li Qingyang said with a serious expression. "This should be a stone-type beast." "Ah." Su Xiaoma jumped down from the roof in fright. "A stone-type beast? That is as rare as a lightning-type beast. No wonder the tunnel closed just now. No wonder the earth shook. There are blade marks on the stone. Sect leader must have killed it." The Iron Bone disciples discussed. Yi Xingchen secretly guessed. This stone-type beast must be stronger than the fire dragon beast. He can kill it. Thinking of this, he looked at the green dragon crescent blade in Jun Changshao's hand and said firmly, "The quality of this blade should have reached supreme grade." Sure enough, my sect leader is very good. An hour later, Jun Changshao's muscles turned from stiff to soft, and he returned to normal from foaming at the mouth. Then, he sat on the stone golem's corpse and breathed heavily. Both blades were very fierce, but the side effects were very annoying. The system said, the side effects of unstoppable blade are unavoidable. If the host's body is stronger, the side effects of activating the green dragon crescent blade can be avoided. Are you saying I'm weak on purpose? Jun Changshao said. The system was speechless. What it meant was that when the strength increased to a certain level, there would be no side effects if the special effects were used. Yet, he misunderstood it as deliberately insulting him. Jun Changshao opened the mission panel and saw that there were still more than 3 hours left. He said gloomily, "It's more convenient to give me a killing mission." There was no other way. He had to wait until the time limit. Jun Changshao could only order the disciples to set up camp and stay here for the night. During this time, he took out the mid-grade sect leader ball and threw it at an empty space. He shouted, "Go Pikachu!" Whoosh, the sect leader ball flew out. When it was about to land, the Tai Chi pattern flashed, and a 2 to 3 meter tall purple lightning tiger appeared. Roar! The purple lightning tiger raised its head and roared. Thunder and lightning shot out majestically. However, when it saw the stone golem's corpse, it immediately ran behind its master with its tail between its legs. Its eyes were filled with human-like vigilance. Jun Changxiao was speechless. Come on, you're a thunder-type tiger. How can you be so timid? Chapter 202. The baby purple lightning was not timid, but the stone man was too strong. If Jun Changxiao did not chase after it, it would not have rushed into the other party's territory. It gradually calmed down and found that the big guy was already dead, so it swaggered out from behind its master. Swish! Jun Changxiao jumped up and sat on the tiger's back. He touched the baby tiger's head and smiled. From today onwards, you are my personal mount. Seeing the tiger's docile face, it meant that the sect leader had already tamed it. The Ironbone disciples were shocked and envious. In the Falling Star continent, to have a contract beast was the dream of a martial cultivator. Having a rare thunder beast was even more unimaginable. Sect leader. He was really awesome. Wow! Ling Yuanxue said in admiration. Sect leader is so mighty. Sure enough, the cool-looking purple lightning tiger attracted the attention of girls. However, Lu Qianqian was an exception. She only took a glance and turned around to continue to comprehend the 9-layer ice seal palm. Sect leader. Su Xiaoma leaned over and grinned. Can I touch it? While speaking, his hand had already reached over, but before he touched the tiger's fur, he heard a zzz sound. Plop! Su Xiaoma fell to the ground. His fur stood up from the electricity, twitching and spitting out white foam. As the master, Jun Changxiao could ignore the thunder and lightning of the purple lightning tiger. So outsiders definitely could not touch it casually. Li Fei and Tian Qi, who walked over, hurriedly dispelled the idea of touching it. Oh my god! Senior brother Su was electrocuted too miserably. Yi Xingchen secretly muttered in the distance. Why did he sign a contract with a purple lightning tiger so quickly? Night Emperor also had a contract beast in his previous life. It was a bird-type sacred beast called Blue Sky Jade Carving. Later on it died, and the connection was cut off. That year, in order to tame that guy, Yi Xingchen fought with it for 3 days and 3 nights in the Green Plains Hill before defeating it. It took him 49 days to force a contract with it. Yes, at that time, Night Emperor had just entered Wusheng. Later on, the Clear Sky Jade Carving became his personal mount. As long as martial cultivators saw the Clear Sky Jade Carving, they would immediately realize that one of the 10 great martial emperors of the Starfall continent had arrived. AI. Thinking of his contracted beast, Yi Xingchen sighed and looked up at the sky. Old friend, are you alright? The proud and aloof Night Emperor did not have many friends in his previous life. He only had the Blue Sky Jade Carving by his side, which had witnessed his breakthrough from Wusheng to martial emperor. After his rebirth, if he still had any attachment to his previous life, it would be the contract beast that had accompanied him for 1,000 years. My soul hasn't been destroyed. The contract imprint is still here. Yi Xingchen thought to himself, as long as my realm is strong enough, I will definitely be able to communicate with the Green Sky Jade Carving. But there was a prerequisite, the contract beast had to be alive. Alive? He must still be alive. How could Yi Xingchen's contracted beast die so easily? Night fell and the bonfire rose. In just a few days, Li Qingyang had learned the true teachings of the sect leader. At this moment he was skillfully roasting meat. Jun Changxiao sat cross-legged under the tree, circulating the body metamorphose scripture, continuously absorbing the surrounding spiritual energy. After his spiritual root was upgraded to the highest grade, the absorption speed was 5 to 6 times faster than usual. He could not help but exclaim, doesn't this mean that as long as I cultivate, I will be eating qi-gathering pills with 5 times the effect? No wonder martial cultivators with high spiritual roots were fought over by various sects. Ding! Side mission completed. Host has received 500 contribution points. Ding! Sect contribution points. 14001000. Ding! Sect contribution points overflow omitted here. Ding! Host has completed the time limit mission. Reward: 1 bottle of the highest grade aptitude modification liquid. 5 hours were up. The time limit mission was completed. Jun Changxiao grinned and said, "Another bottle of the highest grade aptitude modification liquid. Very good, very good." Schwa. Pulling open the purchased items column, he planned to buy 2 more bottles of aptitude modification liquid. But after buying 1 bottle, the highest grade aptitude modification liquid was gray, and it showed this item is limited to 3 bottles per year. Fuck. Why is the aptitude modification liquid limited? The system said. The high-grade aptitude modification liquid is too heaven-defying. In order to prevent the host from creating too many top-grade disciples and destroying the balance of the falling star continent, it has to be limited. Fuck. Jun Changxiao said. Didn't you give me a system to destroy the balance of the other world? The gathering and absorption of spiritual energy is a virtuous cycle. If there are too many top-grade spiritual roots, it will speed up the plundering of resources. Once there is a shortage of resources, there will definitely be a big mess. The system said. Jun Changxiao was silent. He had planned to buy another bottle, but now that there was a limit, he could only give up. Then, who should he give the reward and the 2 bottles of aptitude modification liquid to? Jun Changxiao first considered the inner sect disciples, but he also had to choose 2 from Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, Tian Qi, and Yi Xingchen. He would give it to Su Xiaoma and Yi Xingchen first. After thinking for a while, he made a decision in his heart. Su Xiaoma's strength was not bad, and his speed was also outstanding. He was suitable to be nurtured first. Although Yi Xingchen entered the sect later than Li Fei and Tian Qi, he had fully proved himself with his strength in the Death Valley. Especially when Xiao Ziji was attacked by the fire dragon, he rushed over to save him, without caring about his own injuries. This alone was enough to give him a reason. Look, Night Emperor knew that Jun Changxiao had goods. So whether it was going to the Hao Qi sect or training in the wild, he was very active. Opportunities were not to be waited, but to be fought for. Come, come. Jun Changxiao called the 2 of them over and threw the aptitude modification liquid to them. Thank you, sect leader. Su Xiaoma said excitedly. Yi Xingchen was much calmer, but when he came to a deserted place alone, he hurriedly opened it and drank it. Without a doubt, after the 2 of them drank the aptitude modification liquid, their spirit root aptitude went from high grade to top grade, and their realms also increased by 1 level. This is unbelievable. Although he had drunk it many times, every time he felt his aptitude increase, Yi Xingchen's eyes were still filled with shock. Don't think that Night Emperor's state of mind was bad, because if it were other martial emperors, they would definitely be shocked to know that there was a liquid that could instantly increase the level of their spirit root. Schwa. On the ground, a sharpened branch spun and stopped, pointing at the word refresh written on it. Sigh. Jun Changxiao said helplessly. This is destined for me to refresh the store. System. This guy drew a circle on the ground. 9 out of 10 areas had the word refresh written on it, and the remaining 10% had the word purchase written on it. If you want to refresh the store, can't you be more direct? I can't be greedy, let's just spend 100 points. Jun Changxiao thought as he started to scroll down the store, and then he paid a painful price for his addiction. Because he used 500 points consecutively, there was nothing good at all, only daily necessities. 500 points. 10 bottles of aptitude modification liquid gone. Jun Changxiao's heart was bleeding and he roared. Why didn't you stop me? System. Ding. Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission. Extravagant spending. You have received 100 achievement points and the title, Little Spending Prince. Ding. Contribution points, 700-1000. Ding. Detected title. Automatically matching the host. Please check the data panel for details. Jun Changxiao's mouth twitched. So by spending a large amount of contribution points, he could still complete the hidden mission. But what the hell is a title? Jun Changxiao hurriedly opened the data panel and saw that sect leader, Jun Changxiao, had an additional little spending prince suffix behind it. He tapped on the name, and a small attribute board appeared, with the words host, Jun Changsha luck value. 1 title. Little spending prince title attribute. Luck value +1 the system said. The Sect system has been upgraded to level 3, and the host's luck value check function has been activated. The higher the luck value, the more good items will appear after refreshing the store. Crap, Jun Changsha said frantically. Without the 1 point from the title, my luck value is 0 points, right? So, the system said, with 0 points of luck value, you can get a sniper rifle and a green dragon crescent blade. The host must have saved the Milky Way in his previous life. Chapter 203. Spending 500 contribution points. He didn't buy a single item related to martial arts, but he completed a hidden mission and obtained a title. This wave was not a loss, definitely not a loss. Looking at his luck value again, Jun Changsha was about to go crazy. Under normal circumstances, this kind of index would be capped at 100. He only had 1 point, which was absolutely miserable. The system said, the limit might be 1,000, maybe 10,000. Can you scram? Jun Changsha said. After completing the psychological blow to the host, the system was very comfortable and no longer spoke. Sigh. Jun Changsha sighed. However, when he thought about how he was able to obtain a sniper rifle and a green dragon crescent blade with 0 points of luck value, he was still quite lucky. This world is very beautiful. I can't give up on myself. Mentality is the most important. After comforting himself, he relaxed and lay down in the tent to have a good sleep. The next day, after calculating the time and arriving at Death Valley for 9 days, Jun Changsha said, let's return to the Sect. If it wasn't for the fact that he still had a mid-grade Gate Master ball, he would have returned yesterday. After all, there was no point in staying here. The disciples kept their tents and began to retreat to the entrance. During this period of time, most of the gourd openings had been cleaned by the iron bone, so it was particularly safe to return. To be exact, after their ruckus, Death Valley was no longer that scary. It was very difficult for rogue cultivators and various forces to kill any valuable ferocious beasts when they came to train and explore. At the entrance of Death Valley, the square-faced middle-aged man and a few rogue cultivators gathered together. When they were picking up scraps in the scorching land, Jun Changsha left with his disciples first, so they temporarily lost contact with him. Without the iron bone, the rogue cultivators didn't dare to go anywhere else. After thinking about it, they returned to the entrance to wait. Brother Hui, a martial cultivator said, we've been waiting for an entire day. Sect leader Jun and the others might have already left. Sigh. The middle-aged man called Song Hui sighed and said, let's go out. He wanted to thank Sect leader Jun before leaving, but now that he couldn't see him, he could only give up. A few rogue cultivators walked towards the entrance of the tunnel and quickly left Death Valley. Standing outside, Song Hui and the others took a deep breath. Coming in with Iron Bone was a gamble, and he also had the thought of going all out. But who would have thought that he would be able to come out unscathed? Song Hui and the others are out. Tisk tsk. I didn't expect them to still be alive. Where is the Iron Bone? Needless to say, it must have been destroyed by the fire dragon beast. The rogue cultivators who had fled before the battle did not leave. They had been waiting outside the valley. After all, they wanted to see the final outcome. Based on the current situation, it was certain that Iron Bone had been wiped out. When Song Hui heard their discussion, he instantly understood that Sect leader Jun didn't bring any disciples out of the valley. Brother Song, a rogue cultivator walked over and said with a smile, Iron Bone insisted on seeking death, yet you were able to persevere until the end. It's not easy to come out alive. Song Hui smiled and said, old brother Zhang didn't make it to the end. He really suffered a great loss. The armament practitioner named Zhang Bin asked, what do you mean? Song Hui smiled and said, Sect leader Jun and his disciples destroyed the fire dragon beast. We also benefited a lot from it. Zhang Bin was startled. Then he smiled and said, destroyed the fire dragon beast? Brother Song, don't joke around. The rogue cultivators behind him laughed as well. Without a high-level Wuzong, It was impossible to destroy a 5th-grade fire beast. Song Hui didn't explain anymore. He knew that if he didn't see it with his own eyes, he would definitely doubt it. The only way to convince everyone now was to wait for Sect leader Jun to come out. After knowing that Ironbone hadn't left, Song Hui and the rogue cultivators chose to wait. They were secretly looking forward to seeing the expressions on Zhang Bin and the others' faces when they saw them. Of course, there were many rogue cultivators who didn't follow them in. They were still recruiting members. After a certain number of people had gathered, they would enter Death Valley to train. Zhang Bin smiled and said, "Brother Song, why aren't you leaving?" "Waiting for Ironbone to come out," Song Hui said. Zhang Bin shook his head and said, "If they could come out, why would they be behind you? In my opinion, they would have died in the fire dragon beast's territory." Roar! Right at this moment, a roar came from within Death Valley, causing everyone's expression to change drastically. It's a tiger's roar. It seems to be coming from the entrance of the tunnel. Could it be that a powerful tiger beast is coming out of Death Valley? Swoosh! A purple ray of light rushed out from the valley. Roar! The purple lightning baby beast who had stabilized its body raised its head and roared. Purple lightning flashed, and it was really majestic. After seeing the shape and lightning clearly, the rogue cultivators all widened their eyes. They weren't surprised by the tiger beast. They were surprised by the person sitting on the tiger's back. This person was none other than Ironbone's sect leader, Jun Changshao. In an instant, the outside of the valley became extremely quiet. The dozens of rogue cultivators who had gathered here all widened their eyes. Their eyes were filled with intense shock. They would also be very surprised if Jun Changshao came out by himself. After all, in their hearts, Ironbone had been destroyed. Now, not only did he come out, but he also rode a majestic tiger beast. The shock and impact it brought was naturally indescribable. Song Hui and the others were also dumbfounded. They couldn't understand. Why would sect leader Jun come out riding a tiger beast? Could it be that he had just captured a contract beast? Zhang Bin and the others were also thinking. The more they thought, the more shocked they were. In this day and age, it was definitely a glorious thing to have a contract beast. A rogue cultivator who knew a little about ferocious beasts said in a trembling voice, This is a lightning baby tiger." What? Everyone was so shocked that their faces were distorted. Lightning ferocious beasts were very rare in the Falling Star continent. They had a bad temper. Sect leader Jun was able to tame one. This was simply terrifying. Jun Changshao looked at Song Hui and asked in surprise, "You guys came out too?" Riding a lightning baby tiger and greeting others. This was a perfect act of toughness. It was a pity that the system didn't have any acting tough points. Otherwise, it would have been plus 99,999. Song Hui came back to his senses and hurriedly said, "We are really grateful to sect leader Jun for bringing us to Death Valley to pick up scraps." Jun Changshao said, "You paid to pick up scraps. This is a business deal. There's no need to thank me." Not like some people. After a pause, he glanced at the rogue cultivators who didn't follow in and mocked. They don't even have the guts to pick up scraps. They are destined to be mediocre for the rest of their lives. There was nothing wrong with seeking stability, but in the world of martial arts, if one wanted to become stronger, they had to understand the principle of seeking wealth in danger. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to achieve much in the future. After subduing the lightning baby tiger, Jun Changshao wanted to ride it out and show off. Coming out of Death Valley first, the dozens of rogue cultivators were shocked to the point of being unable to recover. It could be said that his wish was fulfilled. If one didn't show off in life, what fun would there be? Not long after, Li Qingyang and the others walked out of the valley. Seeing that 25 disciples of the Ironbone sect went in and came out, the rogue cultivators' expressions stiffened again. Seeing the interesting expressions on Zhang Bin and the others' faces, Song Hui and the others were secretly pleased. Didn't they think that the Ironbone sect was completely wiped out? Everyone. Was their face swollen? Chapter 204. The rogue cultivators outside the valley all believed that the Ironbone sect had been annihilated by the fire dragon. In the end, they all came out together. This slap in the face was really satisfying. Sect leader Jun also knew that many of them were laughing at him. Although he was showing off by riding the juvenile purple lightning beast, it was more of a slap to their faces. After some reorganization, Jun Changshao said loudly, "Let's go back." "Yes." All the disciples shouted in unison. As the facial muscles of the rogue cultivators froze, Sect leader Jun rode the tiger beast and left with his disciples. This trip was very rewarding. His mood was naturally very good. He was also very happy. Sect leader Jun behind him, Song Hui chased after him with a few people. Jun Changshao said, "What's the matter?" Song Hui cupped his hands and said, "Sect leader Jun, we want to join the Iron Bone sect. Can you take us in?" After witnessing the strength of the Iron Bone sect, smart people knew that this sect had huge potential. If they could join early, it would definitely be a wise choice. Jun Changshao said, "It's not impossible to join my Iron Bone sect." Everyone was delighted. However, Jun Changshao added, "Give me the things you picked up. It'll be considered an entry fee." Everyone was dumbfounded. They spent 2,000 to pick up the leftovers. If they taught him everything, wouldn't it be a waste of effort? Sect leader Jun, your request is too harsh, a martial cultivator said. Goodbye. Some cultivators cupped their hands and left. After a short while, only Song Hui and 2 other martial artists were left among the 8 rogue cultivators. Without a family or sect to rely on, money was even more important than life for many cultivators. Sect leader Jun Song Hui said with a determined gaze, "I'll pay." As he spoke, he handed over 2 interspatial rings. He also cared about money. After all, he could use it to buy resources. However, after careful consideration, he still believed that the Iron Bone sect was a more valuable resource. Following them into Death Valley was a gamble. Giving up all their money to join the Iron Bone sect was also a gamble. "We'll pay too." The other 2 also agreed and handed over their rings. Jun Changshao said, "Let's go. We'll follow them back to Iron Bone to complete the entry procedures." When he went to kill the fire dragon beast, Song Hui and the other 2 had expressed their willingness to help. It was obvious that they were people who knew how to repay kindness. Now that they were willing to pay, it meant that they really approved of Iron Bone. Naturally, he wouldn't refuse. After all, he was still short of 500 slots. As for those rogue cultivators who were unwilling to pay and left, even if they knelt and begged, they would not be recruited. They didn't walk for long. Jun Changshao stopped in front of a small stream and let the disciples rest. Death Valley was filled with ferocious beasts, and the stench was overwhelming. Now that they were out, they had to clean up. Because Lu Qianqian and Ling Yuanxue went to the other side, Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, and the others jumped into the stream without any scruples and directly washed. Jun Changshao also took a bath and changed into a clean sect master uniform. His entire person once again looked like a handsome tree in the wind. "Xiaoemo Xiaofei," he shouted. "Go find firewood and prepare to barbecue." Coming out of Death Valley and making a lot of money, they had to celebrate. Yes. After changing into a clean uniform, Su Xiaoma and Li Fei searched in the forest. Although they hadn't gone through the entry procedures, Song Hui and the other 2 martial artists began to try to integrate into the sect and help out. They even acted as barbecue masters. As the 3 of them had survived in the wild all year round, they definitely had some skills in barbecuing. Whoosh! The flames rose and the barbecued meat was flipped. Swish! Swish! However, just as everyone was eating in full swing, a group of people suddenly surrounded the forest. They were wearing black clothes with the word eagle printed on their chests. The leader was a tall middle-aged man. His eyes were shining, and his strength was not to be underestimated. Seeing the word eagle on the man's chest, Song Hui's face changed. He hurried over and whispered, "Sect leader, they are from Black Eagle Hall." Black Eagle Hall? Li Qingyang's face also changed. Jun Changshao saw this and asked, "Are they very powerful?" Li Qingyang said seriously, "Sect leader, this Black Eagle Hall is a 7th-rate evil sect in the neighboring Huaying County." Evil sect? Jun Changshao was surprised. After transmigrating, he more or less understood the Falling Star continent and knew that the sects were divided into good and evil. For example, the Grand Chi Sect and the Long Blade Sect were considered to be good sections. Evil sects were rarer, and their style of doing things was also very cruel. Qingyang County had the 100 Sect Alliance, so there were no evil sections. However, everyone seemed to be good on the surface, but the things they did in the dark might not be as good as the evil sections. Huayin County was different. There were no alliance organizations here, and the government was just a decoration. The sects developed wildly, and there were many forces that called themselves evil sections. Simply put, in Huayin County, evil sects were legalized. The forces that were called evil sects were more aggressive and warlike. Reason? That didn't exist. If there was a disagreement, they would draw their swords and even kill their whole family. TSK, Jun Changxiao thought. I didn't expect to meet an evil sect in this wilderness. Kid, the tall middle-aged man said coldly. You are Iron Bone's sect leader? That's right. Jun Changxiao took a bite of meat and said, What can I do for you? If the evil sects in the neighboring counties heard of his sect, he would feel proud. I heard that you just came out from Death Valley? The middle-aged man's voice was cold, which was in line with the style of an evil sect. If the words evil sect were carved on his forehead, it would be perfect. That's right. Jun Changxiao said. It's over. Song Hui's heart collapsed. Black Eagle Hall, as an evil sect, was very close to Death Valley in Qingyang County. They would come here to train every once in a while. Their favorite thing to do was to rob others. Today, they caught up from behind, so they must have gone to Death Valley and heard from other rogue cultivators that Iron Bone had entered the valley. His guess was right. This Black Eagle Hall's Vice Hall Master brought his disciples to Death Valley not long ago to train. The first thing he did was to control the rogue cultivators and threaten them to hand over their belongings. Some people were afraid of death. Not only did they hand over their belongings, they also revealed the matter of Iron Bone. Since a sect entered and left the valley, it must be very rich. Therefore, the Vice Hall Master immediately brought his disciples and chased after them. Finally, they surrounded the Iron Bone sect in this forest. This was an evil sect. They did things no different from robbers. If it was a righteous sect, even if they wanted to rob, they would not do it so unscrupulously. Sect leader Jun, right? The Vice Hall Master said indifferently. Since you entered Death Valley, you must have obtained a lot of crystal cores and bones. Why don't you take them out and share with my Black Eagle Hall? Jun Changxiao almost spat out the meat in his mouth. He grinned and said, My Iron Bone risked his life to obtain these things. Why should I share them with you? This is the rule of my Black Eagle Hall. The Vice Hall Master said coldly. Sorry, Jun Changxiao said. That's your Black Eagle Hall's rule. My Iron Bone's rule is that we can't share things with idiots, because we will be infected. Brat, the Vice Hall Master said with a fierce look. You are courting death. Chapter 205. When the Vice Hall Master said that they were courting death, dozens of Black Eagle Hall disciples immediately surrounded them. Most of them were at the martial disciple level. Looking at Li Qingyang and the others who were only 17 or 18 years old, they all had looks of contempt on their faces. A group of children who hadn't even grown out their hair could be easily killed. Li Qingyang and the others placed the barbecued meat on the ground, chewed and swallowed the meat in their mouths, and then shook their heads and shoulders. After the training in Death Valley, they were not afraid of fighting at all. Not to mention, although there were more than 60 Black Eagle Hall disciples, from their auras, their average cultivation was only second or third stage, which was not as strong as the Red Flame Wolves. The Vice Hall Master said indifferently. Sect leader Jun, these should be the remaining 20 or so disciples of your sect, right? Only left. Jun Changxiao did not understand. What do you mean? The Vice Hall Master laughed coldly. What I mean is that after going to Death Valley, many disciples will die. If the rest die, your Iron Bone sect will be annihilated. Jun Changxiao understood. He must have thought that he had brought many disciples to Death Valley to train, and the remaining disciples were the survivors. That's right. That was what he thought. At that time, the Vice Hall Master was in a hurry to rob them. He only asked about the sect's rank, and did not ask about the number of people who entered Death Valley. An 8th-rate sect entering Death Valley would have to bring at least 100 disciples and fight with the beasts with their lives. Take him for example. This time, he had brought more than 60 martial disciples. He had already thought about it on the way. It would be very lucky if half of them could come out alive. Yes, Iron Bone brought 100 people, and 20 to 30 of them came out alive. Their luck was not bad. The Vice Hall Master of Black Eagle Hall's imagination was even stronger than Night Emperor's. This was good too. If he knew that all 25 of Iron Bone's disciples went in and came out alive, he would definitely suffer a heavy blow. What? Jun Changshao touched his nose and said, "From what you said, you want to kill all of my disciples?" The Vice Hall Master laughed sinisterly. If Sect leader Jun cooperates and hands over the things in the valley, they will definitely return home safely. Are you threatening me? Jun Changshao's face darkened. The Vice Hall Master said, "You can say that." The biggest advantage of the evil sect was that they didn't beat around the bush when doing bad things, nor were they hypocritical. They just did it openly. Did you hear that? Jun Changshao said, "Black Eagle Hall wants to kill you." Ha ha ha. Su Xiaoma clutched his stomach and laughed. Sect Master. These guys aren't even comparable to the beasts of Death Valley. What ability do they have to kill us? That's right. Li Fei smiled and said, "You're not even comparable to a ferocious beast. You think too highly of yourself." The Vice Hall Master's face gradually turned gloomy, and the murderous intent in his eyes became even more intense. "Hall Master," a disciple of the Black Eagle Hall said coldly, "this Iron Bone disciple is very arrogant. Why don't we just kill them all?" "Hall Master," he said indifferently, "Sect Master Jun, since you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, don't blame this Hall Master for being impolite." Kacha. The disciples of the Black Eagle Hall clenched their fists and walked over with their heads tilted. They even took out the weapons in their space rings. Perhaps because they had killed too many people, the aura they emitted was a little scary. Sect Master Jun, Hall Master, he narrowed his eyes and smiled. "If you hand over the thing now, this Hall Master can spare your life and the lives of your disciples." "I don't have the thing, but I do have a life," Jun Changshao said. "Humph." Hall Master, he raised his hand and said with a cold gaze, "Kill them all." Pucci's sword light flashed and blood splattered. Hall Master, he was stunned. "The men I brought with me are quite fast." However, when he looked over, he found that one of his disciples was standing in place with his eyes unfocused, and his neck had been cut by a sharp sword. The one who attacked was Yi Xingchen. He withdrew his sword and blew off the drops of blood that had gathered at the tip of the sword, saying indifferently, "Trash. Junior brother. Senior brother." Seeing his fellow disciple killed, the disciples of the Black Eagle Hall flew into a rage. They immediately poured spiritual energy into their weapons and slashed at the Iron Bone disciple, without caring who the target was. Clang! Clang! Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, and the others drew their swords and quickly fought back. Song Hui and the other 2 martial artists also drew their weapons. They were only a step away from becoming Iron Bone disciples. Naturally, they couldn't sit back and do nothing. In terms of numbers, the Black Eagle Hall definitely had the advantage. However, when the 2 sides fought, the strength of the Iron Bone disciples shocked them all. Pucci! Sword light flashed and blood splattered. Hall Master, his eyes widened, and his eyeballs almost popped out. In just a few breaths, more than 20 of his 60 disciples were killed by Iron Bone. The process was nothing more than drawing the sword, killing, drawing the sword again, and killing again. How could an 8th-rate sect be so strong? Was he seeing things? Hall Master, he hurriedly blinked his eyes. However, during this gap, another dozen or so disciples were killed like weeds. The disciples were killing crazily at the back. Jun Changshao kept his back to them and didn't look. He knew that even if there were more than 60 Black Eagle Hall disciples, they wouldn't be enough to kill Li Qingyang and the rest. It was true, compared to the Red Flame Wolf. No, they were even weaker than the Ground Flame Wolf. Damn it! Hall Master, his eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. He instantly unleashed his peak martial master cultivation and condensed an explosive force to attack Jun Changxiao. Whoosh! This punch contained at least 60,000 force. However, just as the explosive fist was about to hit him, it was caught by Jun Changxiao's palm. And he caught it so easily. Hall Master, he was stunned. His punch landed on this guy's palm, and it didn't even budge. Jun Changxiao said, "Don't be anxious. Watch carefully." How could he not be anxious? If he continued to watch, the dozens of disciples he brought would be killed. Hall Master, he tried to pull his hand back, but that guy's 5 fingers were like pliers. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break free. Pucci! Pucci! The Black Eagle Hall disciples were still being slaughtered by Iron Bone. Especially Yi Xingchen. He killed 1 person in 10 steps, and didn't leave a single trace. A group of Rank 2 and Rank 3 martial disciples dared to fight against a team that destroyed a pack of red flame wolves, and even a pack of gale wolves. They were really tired of living. Unfortunately, the Black Eagle Hall didn't know about Iron Bone's previous valiant battle record. When they realized that this group of immature teenagers was very terrifying, they were so scared that they hurriedly fled. Very wise. However, Jun Changxiao said, "Kill them all." This tone was exactly the same as when the Hall Master had said kill them all just now. Swish! Swish! Li Qingyang and the rest quickly caught up. Han Feng's sword and Overlord Qi greeted them, and more than 20 disciples who fled were obliterated. At this point, more than 60 Black Eagle Hall disciples were all killed. Only Hall Master He, who was restrained by Jun Changxiao, was left. His eyes were filled with monstrous shock. He brought his disciples to Death Valley to train, and hoped that half of them could come out alive. In the end, before they even entered the valley, they were all wiped out. Only now did Hall Master He realize that Iron Bone was not a kind person. He had kicked an iron plate. "Hey!" Jun Changxiao smiled and said, "Your subordinates are all dead." The smile looked harmless, but in Hall Master He's eyes, it was extremely sinister, as if the devil was smiling at him. Sect Leader Jun, he hurriedly said, "I think this is a misunderstanding." Swish! Jun Changxiao raised the Desert Eagle and pressed it against his head. His eyes were cold as he said, "Remember, if you can still be human in your next life, wipe your eyes before you go out. Don't provoke my Iron Bone sect anymore." Bang! A bullet shot out and pierced through his head. Plop! The Black Eagle Hall Vice Hall Master fell straight down, his eyes gradually losing focus. Yes, he had kicked an iron plate. Not only was this iron plate hard, but his way of doing things was also very decisive. He could be compared to the evil sections. Chapter 206. Hall Master He of Black Eagle Hall chased after them with only one goal: to stop Iron Bone and force them to hand over the things they got from Death Valley. This kind of thing was very common, and had been done more than once. No matter if it was a sect or an individual team, they had all been visited before. Of course, Black Eagle Hall didn't dare to provoke those who were tough. For example, when Alliance leader Qin brought his disciples to train, they pretended not to know even though they received the news. Picking the soft persimmon was the way to survive. Unfortunately, the Deputy Hall Master of Black Eagle Hall had picked the wrong persimmon this time, and killed himself and his 60 disciples. If it was a self-proclaimed righteous faction, they might have been able to survive. But since they provoked Iron Bone, they could only go to hell to sing. Sect leader Jun wouldn't take the initiative to cause trouble. But if someone provoked him and wanted to kill him, he had to return the favor in the same way. He was that domineering and valiant. Search them. Jun Changxiao waved his hand. Iron Bone disciples started to loot the bags, and soon found 60 small interspatial rings. Any sect with a bit of money would have one of these interspatial rings. They could hold a limited amount of things. Iron Bone was a bit interesting. Sect leader Jun had never bought interspatial rings before. Most of the disciples who had interspatial rings got them from assassins. So looting was still necessary. At least they could save some money. Sect leader Li Qingyang counted and said, "There are a total of 30,000 silver notes and some low-grade herbs." "So poor," Jun Changxiao said. If the dead hall master he heard these 2 words on his way to the Yellow Springs, he would definitely roar. If I was fucking rich, would I still bring people to rob you? Sect leader, what about these corpses? Pile them up and burn them. Yes. Whoosh whoosh. The fire burned, and the corpses turned into ashes. Because many people died here, it was filled with the smell of blood. Jun Changshao wasn't in the mood to eat barbecue, and left with his disciples. On the way, Song Hui and the other 2 martial artists were thinking, was Ironbone righteous or evil? Evil, right? They could tolerate rogue cultivators picking up scraps in Death Valley. Righteous, right? He didn't show any mercy when killing the Black Eagle Hall just now. Especially the sect leader, who raised the strange object and killed Hall Master He with a pung sound. He was absolutely decisive in killing, absolutely swift and decisive. The more the 3 of them thought about it, the more confused they became. However, regardless of whether Ironbone was righteous or evil, he would definitely join. The next day, Jun Changshao sped up and brought everyone back to Ironbone in the evening. As usual, as soon as he entered the sect, the disciples crowded around him, fighting to be the first to ask about his experience. Although they didn't follow him, their hearts followed him. After they finished cultivating, they would sit together and discuss how the sect leader and senior brothers fought against the ferocious beasts. The scene in his mind was even more exciting than the novel written by Jianghu Goodbye. Cough cough. Su Xiaoma stood in the middle of the training field. He cleared his throat and spoke like a storyteller. This is a long story. Listen to me slowly. The disciples listened attentively, their eyes flickering with excitement. Jun Changshao brought Song Hui and the other 2 to the main hall, where they filled in the entry form and stamped it. Ding! Sect member 5031000. Ding! Sect contribution points 7031000. The other 2 martial artists were called Yu Xiao and Jin Lang. Like Song Hui, the 2 of them were in their early 30s, and they were both grade 1 martial masters. Jun Changshao sighed. Without the resources provided by your families and forces, it's really commendable that you can break through to the martial master level. Song Hui said bitterly, Sect leader, we have today's achievements because we fought on the line between life and death. This sentence expressed the difficulties and sadness of a rogue cultivator. Jun Changshao said, so from today onwards, you only need to do your best for the sect and provide me with all the resources. Ironbone was a young man with dreams in his heart. Although he was full of vitality, he lacked a sense of stability. It was necessary to recruit veterans who had experienced life and death situations. Rest assured, sect leader, the 3 of them said in unison. We will do our best for the sect. Even if we have to climb a mountain of swords or dive into a sea of fire, we will not hesitate. Jun Changshao believed in this, because following them into Death Valley was more like an entrance examination. The others left one after another. Since they were able to follow to the end and join him, there was no problem with their loyalty. This is a special pill of our sect. Take it. Jun Changshao threw 3 body-shaping pills over. Ironbone did not have the foundation of a large sect, nor did it have a huge amount of martial arts resources. However, each disciple was given a body-shaping pill, which was a unique feature. Sect leader, this is, Song Hui said. Jun Changshao said, a type of pill that can strengthen one's physique. Eating it will only bring you benefits and no harm. Understood. Song Hui swallowed the pill. Yu Xiao and Wan Lang also threw the pills into their mouths. At this time, even if the sect leader gave them a poisonous pill, they would not have any thoughts about it. The pill melted as soon as it entered their mouths, forming pure energy that nourished their meridians and muscles, causing their spirits to rise. After a while, the energy was exhausted. Their muscles, meridians, blood, and strength had all improved greatly. Their eyes flashed with intense shock. Oh my God! Song Hui could not help but exclaim. My strength seems to have increased a lot. A lot. It increased by about 10,000 pounds. The same went for Yu Xiao and Jin Lang. The 3 of them had average aptitudes, and did not have any natural treasures to nurture them. After becoming a grade 1 martial master, one's strength would be about 25,000 pounds, which was only the lowest value. After taking the body-shaping pill, one's physical strength would improve and instantly reach 35,000 pounds, which was already considered average. Excellent martial masters could reach 45,000 pounds at grade 1. Top geniuses could reach 55,000 pounds. Oh my god! Did we just eat an elixir? While Song Hui and the others were dumbfounded, Jun Changxiao handed out the self-chop and exploding fist manuals. He said, Qing Yang, arrange rooms for them and give them school uniforms and sect rules. Yes, Li Qingyang brought them to the inner courtyard and arranged rooms for them. The three of them entered the high-end and classy room, and their eyes could not hide their shock. The outer courtyard's buildings and main hall were already shocking enough, but the inner courtyard was even more luxurious. If this was a sixth-rate sect, the three of them would not have any doubts. Brother Hui, the three of them sat in the room. Yu Xiao said excitedly, this iron bone is really amazing. Jean Lang said in shock, taking a pill can increase one's strength by so much. This is simply unimaginable. Song Hui said excitedly, joining Iron Bone is definitely the wisest choice in our lives. This thought became even more firm after he flipped through self-chop and rupturing fist. This was because spiritual force-type martial skills were priceless treasures. The spatial ring given to the sect leader was worth tens of thousands? Sorry, they did not care at all. If they were given another choice, they would not hesitate to hand over hundreds of thousands just to join Iron Bone. The rogue cultivators who left because they were worried about money were simply too stupid. Chapter 207. Inside the main hall, Jun Changxiao took a sip of tea and slowly said, is there anything going on in the sect recently? Everything is normal, Li Luoqiu said with a smile. During this period of time, she has been managing the sect. Even though she was an assassin, her management was quite impressive. Jun Changxiao put down the teacup and said, what's the news outside? Li Luoqiu said, Qin Haoran has returned. What about the Xiao family? Jun Changxiao didn't care about the Grand Qi sect. He was more concerned about the Xiao family's movements. Li Luoqiu said, the Xiao family has been keeping a low profile during this period of time. I'm afraid they are busy dealing with their family business. Jun Changxiao rubbed his fingers and said, they have cut off business with the AI family, and the mine has collapsed. It's enough for them to suffer. Is there any other news? Yes, Li Luoqiu said. The AI family will hold an auction in half a month. Many forces from different counties will come to Huyang City. The scale of the auction will be bigger than before. I hope this auction can get a good price. Jun Changxiao murmured. Cooperating with the AI family to auction pills is his main source of income. Naturally, he hopes the higher the price the better. Oh right. Li Luoqiu took out an invitation and said, the AI families had personally sent an invitation a few days ago, sincerely inviting the sect leader to attend the auction. Attend for what? To bid for pills with them? Jun Changxiao took the invitation and shook his head with a smile. Li Luoqiu said, in my opinion, the AI family's head wants the sect leader to join in the fun. I heard that there are several higher-ups from fifth-rate sects coming. Is that so? Jun Changxiao said while opening the invitation. There was an invitation and a platinum card inside. Li Luoqiu said in surprise. The highest platinum VIP card in the AI family's auction house. Platinum VIP card? Jun Changxiao asked. Li Luoqiu explained. The AI family issues cards that represent 3 different identities. The ordinary one is a bronze card, the next is a gold card, and the highest is a platinum card. Wasn't it just like being a bank's VIP customer? Speaking of which, had the AI family played LOL or King of Glory before? The 3 cards were similar to the ranking system. Jun Changxiao casually threw the platinum card on the table and said without interest, I'm very busy. Why would I attend an auction? Li Luoqiu, this kind of platinum card was very rare. Only big shots with a reputation could obtain it. Yet, the sect leader had casually discarded it. Pay more attention to the Xiao clan. Report back immediately if there's any movement, Jun Changxiao said. Yes. After discussing business, Li Luoqiu pressed her arms on the table and used her palm to support her sharp chin. She smiled and said, Sect leader, tell me about your training in Death Valley. Jun Changxiao said, I only killed a fire dragon. There's nothing much to talk about. Li Luoqiu said in surprise. A fire dragon that was 5 ranks higher? Yes. Jun Changxiao said. You've heard of it too. One of the 2 overlords of Death Valley is the fire dragon. Li Luoqiu said. 2 overlords? Jun Changxiao said. What's the other one? Li Luoqiu thought for a while and said. The other one is a rare stone-type stone man. Stone man? Jun Changxiao said. Is it a huge monster that's made of stone, and is at least 7 to 8 feet tall? That's right. Li Luoqiu said. Jun Changxiao murmured. So the big monster I killed was a stone man, one of the 2 overlords of Death Valley. Li Luoqiu said in disbelief. Sect leader also killed the stone man? Jun Changxiao said. When I was capturing the purple lightning cub, I accidentally entered its territory and was trapped inside. I could only kill it. He said it casually, but Li Luoqiu was full of doubts. The stone man is much stronger than the fire dragon. With sect leader's cultivation, can you kill this kind of stone-type beast? Swoosh. Jun Changxiao waved his hand and took out a crystal core. This is the stone man's crystal core. The crystal core immediately emitted a heavy aura. Li Luoqiu instantly determined that it must be a stone-type crystal core, and its level was not low. Heavens! Sect leader is so strong. He killed the fire dragon and the stone man? Li Luoqiu was deeply shocked. Wait. She suddenly thought of something and said in surprise. Sect leader, why did you say you accidentally entered the stone man's territory? The purple lightning cub. Jun Changxiao said. Li Luoqiu immediately stood up and said in shock. Death Valley has a rare thunder-type beast? Yes. Jun Changxiao said. When I saw it, I immediately went to capture it, and then... He paused and said. Yes. I spent a lot of effort to subdue it. He did not say that he directly captured it with the sect leader's ball. After all, it was too shocking. However, sect leader Jun did not know that even though he spent a lot of effort, he still shocked our beautiful and enchanting hall master Li to the point that her body was trembling. She stared with her big eyes and said, Sect leader subdued the purple lightning cub? Yes. Jun Changxiao said. This guy had been very casual when he started talking about Death Valley. But he shocked Li Luoqiu to the point that she was in a daze. It was acceptable to kill 2 overlords. But subduing a violet lightning tiger cub, wasn't that a little too shocking? You don't believe me? Jun Changxiao said. Let's go, I will summon it and let you see. After saying that, he walked out of the main hall. Li Luoqiu hurriedly followed, thinking, could it be that sect leader really subdued the purple lightning cub? On the martial arts field, Su Xiaoma was explaining how to kill the fire dragon with spittle flying everywhere. The process was not particularly complicated, but under his explanation, it suddenly became full of ups and downs and twists and turns. The hearts of the hundreds of disciples were sometimes suspended and sometimes sped up. It was as if they were on a roller coaster. Tisk tisk. Tianqi said from afar. Senior martial brother Su is not a storyteller. It is a waste of his talent. Yes. Li Fei's mouth twitched and said. After hearing him say that, I am starting to doubt whether I participated in the killing of the fire dragon. Su Xiaoma continued to narrate the story vividly. When he finished talking about the fire dragon, the sect leader and hall master Li walked out of the main hall. Don't talk nonsense. Jun Changxiao waved his hand and said, Go, let me have the martial arts field. If you want to know what will happen, listen to the next round. After Su Xiaoma finished speaking, he hurriedly stepped aside. The hundreds of disciples also retreated and surrounded the martial arts field. Swoosh. Jun Changxiao took out the sect leader ball, then smiled and said, Since you are all here, I will let you see a rare purple lightning cub. Purple lightning cub? Many disciples looked at each other, expressing their confusion. Cough cough. Su Xiaoma moistened his throat and said loudly. After sect leader killed the fire dragon, he subdued a rare thunder-type ferocious beast. Its whole body was emitting purple thunder and lightning. It was really majestic. Oh my god, a thunder-type ferocious beast. That is a very rare ferocious beast. Sect leader actually subdued it. The disciples' faces were full of admiration, and they couldn't take their eyes off him. Swoosh. Under everyone's gaze, sect leader Jun raised his hand and suddenly waved it at the center of the martial arts field, shouting, "Come out, purple lightning cub!" Boom! The sect leader ball flew out, flashing in midair. Immediately, a ferocious beast appeared on the martial arts field. It was a little thing with big ears and a long nose. Gah! The atmosphere instantly froze. Li Luochio and the disciples stared at it thinking, could it be? Hoot! Hoot! The little guy barked twice. Therefore, everyone was sure that it was a little wild boar. Jun Changshao maintained his waving motion, but his whole body was instantly petrified. He howled in his heart, I fucking took the wrong sect leader ball. Sect leader. Li Luochio turned around and said speechlessly, do you think we have never seen a pig or a tiger? Chapter 208. That chubby little guy looked like a pig, but it might not be a pig. But it was definitely not a tiger. Therefore, when the sect leader summoned it, Li Luochio felt like her intelligence was being insulted. Senior brother, is this little thing a pig? It looks like one. Although I have never seen a tiger, I know it should be similar to a cat. The disciples started to discuss. Jun Changshao, who took the gate palm ball by mistake, felt extremely embarrassed. He just wanted to act cool. Why was it so difficult? Go back. Jun Changshao shouted at Pepabor. Whoosh! The Tai Chi pattern on the gate palm ball flashed and instantly sucked the chubby little guy into it. Look carefully. Jun Changshao took out another gate palm ball and said, this time, it is a real purple lightning tiger cub. Swish! He suddenly waved it and said, come out, purple lightning tiger cub. Li Luochio rolled her eyes at him. The disciples, who were originally very excited, suddenly lost their interest because the sect leader summoned a pig. Bang! The gate palm ball shot out light. Roar! The majestic and mighty purple lightning tiger cub stood on the training field and roared. Purple lightning exploded around its body, and its acting cool instantly increased. Li Luochio and the other disciples, who did not take it seriously at first, gradually widened their eyes and mouths when they saw the fierce beast that was almost 10 feet tall. Purple stripes, a bloody mouth and sharp teeth. This was definitely a tiger beast. Oh my god! It really is a thunder tiger beast. So mighty. The disciples were shocked, and the worship in their eyes became even stronger. Swish! Jun Changshao strode over and rode on the purple lightning tiger cub, giving Li Luochio a side attack, and said with a smile, my contract beast is not bad, right? Summoning the purple lightning tiger cub made him very embarrassed. Fortunately, the purple lightning tiger cub saved his face, and he still acted cool with a little regret. Night came. After cultivating for a period of time, Jun Changshao sat down in his study and began to seriously consider the future. Acting tough was nothing more than adding some spice to his boring life. What he really needed to consider was how to make his sect stronger. Furthermore, there were only 9 months left before he went to challenge the Sacred Spring Sect. Can Qingyang and the others break through to Martial Master? Jun Changshao murmured. In his opinion, if the Hao Qi sect had Martial Master level disciples, the Sacred Spring Sect would certainly have a lot of them, and their levels would not be low either. Right now, Jun Changshao muttered, it's better to let them break through to Martial Master and become stronger. Furthermore, if he wanted to raise his realm, he couldn't lack experience. Even if he was provided with resources, he was still a flower that grew in a greenhouse. He would not be able to withstand the ravages of the storm, and had to undergo life and death experiences. Jun Changshao had such an idea because of the coldness and decisiveness displayed by the disciples after they came out of Death Valley and killed the disciples of Black Eagle Hall. Not bad, the system said. The strength of martial arts cannot be lacking in resources and experience. Jun Changshao murmured. Therefore, how to obtain more resources and how to let them gain experience is the most important thing. In terms of resources, he could rely on the medicinal herbs cultivated by Elder Wei, because the quality was higher than the ones on the market. The high-quality medicinal herbs sent by the AI family will take 2 months to become useful. It should be soon. As for experience, Jun Changshao held his chin and said, I can let the disciples organize their own groups and go to the wild or dangerous places to gain experience. The system said, fighting with the fierce beasts can only increase their ruthlessness. Fighting with the martial artists can increase their overall strength. That makes sense. Jun Changshao touched his chin and said, I can let them participate in more competitions and fight with powerful martial arts to improve their combat ability. No need to go through so much trouble. The system said, there is a product called the Sect's Experience Tower in the mall. The host and disciples can train at home without leaving the house. Sect's Experience Tower? Jun Changshao was startled and said, is it easy to farm? The system said, after the Sect construction reaches level 3, in theory, it is easier to spawn compared to sniper rifles and divine rank martial arts. After hearing this, Jun Changshao rolled his eyes. He had refreshed dozens of times in Death Valley, and even the divine rank ice attribute martial arts were spawned, but he did not see the Sect's Experience Tower. And it still had the nerve to say that it was easier to farm than divine rank martial arts. The system was speechless. The divine rank martial arts that are even harder to farm than the Experience Tower have been spawned. What is the host dissatisfied with? That's right. Jun Changshao was startled. What am I dissatisfied with? Shua. He opened the data panel and clicked on the beginner's mall. After the luck value increased to 1 point, he had the idea of respawning again. This time, it gave him a legitimate reason. Xiao. He pulled down the mall, and a new product appeared. Jun Changshao immediately saw a product called Universal Extended Magazine in the first row. Clicking on the details, it was introduced as a firearm that could increase the capacity of bullets, and the price was only 20 contribution points. This thing is not bad. Jun Changshao bought 2. Continuing to look at the products in the mall, he found a defensive martial arts called Seal Barrier. The quality of this skill was at the beginner stage of high grade. After forming a seal, one would use spiritual energy to form a defensive barrier in front of the body, and the price was 50 contribution points. The Sect did not have any defensive martial arts, so Jun Changshao bought it without hesitation and copied 1,000 copies. Ding! Detected that the host has purchased a defensive martial arts from the mall, automatically matching it with the Sect's martial arts. Currently, the Sect's martial arts that Iron Bone could allow disciples to cultivate were Yi Jin Jing, Self-Chop, Rupturing Fist, Mountain Splitting Palm, and Barrier. Including the difficult-to-cultivate Ling Jian Divine Technique and Drizzle Building's Ghost Leap, Mental Cultivation, Movement Sword Palm Fist, Spiritual Energy Martial Arts, and Defensive Martial Arts were all available. These could not be compared to the dozens and hundreds of mental cultivation methods available in the big sects. But because most of them were system-type martial arts, one of them could replace many of them. With an extra point of luck, the refreshed products are indeed different. Jun Changshao grinned and continued to scroll down the mall. In the end he cried, because he refreshed 4 times in a row and spent 80 contribution points. Not a single useful item was refreshed. What's the use of this 1 point of luck? Jun Changshao was furious, but he still refreshed it again. After the refreshed products, the first product that caught his eye had a small pagoda engraved on it, and below it were the words Sect's Training Pagoda. Ha ha ha. It was finally refreshed. Jun Changshao hurriedly opened the details, and the content was item. Sect's Training Pagoda Introduction. A cultivation pagoda for martial artists to train, has a total of 9 floors, and each floor has a corresponding training feature. The higher the level of the sect, the higher the difficulty of the training. Advantage: suitable for sect members to enter for training, can undergo comprehensive martial arts training. Disadvantage: those who enter the training pagoda will begin the training in the form of a soul. If they fail, they will not die, but will be weakened for a period of time. Price: 200 contribution points. Ding! The host has spent 200 contribution points. Obtained Sect's Training Pagoda X1. Has been transferred to the spatial ring. Ding! Sect contribution points. 3031000. Chapter 209. After spending a few hundred contribution points, Jun Changshao refreshed the Sect's Tower of Trials. Although the price was high, there were still the expanded magazine and defensive techniques. These two items alone would cost at least a few hundred contribution points. When Sect leader Jun thought about it, he immediately felt that it was worth it. Since he had what he wanted, he would definitely take it out. The system said, the Tower of Trials is similar to a normal 9-story tower, so it is recommended that the host place it in an open area. Oh, Jun Changshao began to think about where to place it. In the end, he decided on the back mountain. Since it was going to be developed sooner or later, it was quite suitable to place the Tower of Trials there. The next day, Jun Changshao arrived at the back mountain early in the morning and found a more ideal location to take out the Tower of Trials. The 9-story tower was very exquisite. However, Sect leader Jun was speechless. This is what you mean by similar to a normal 9-story tower? The system said, if you place it on the ground, it will activate its normal form. Oh. Jun Changshao placed the small tower on the ground and moved away from it. After a while, the Tower of Trials shook slightly. Every floor and every entrance of the tower had a stream of light lingering around it, and then it quickly enlarged. After a while, a 20-meter wide and 100-meter long 9-story tower appeared in their field of vision. Damn! Jun Changshao looked up and exclaimed, it's so tall. Look, what's that? It looks like a tower. Strange, it wasn't here yesterday. Why is it here all of a sudden? When they arrived at the outer courtyard, the disciples who were preparing for their morning exercises realized that there was a straight Tower of Trials behind the main hall. Second senior brother, Su Xiaoma, was stunned. Did you find a craftsman to build this? No. Li Qingyang was also dumbfounded. Let's go and take a look. The disciples didn't do their morning exercises. Instead, they swarmed into the back mountain and finally stood in front of the majestic Tower of Trials. Feeling the heavy aura, Yi Xingchen was shocked. This tower is a treasure. As expected of the Night Emperor, a professional, the door of the Tower of Trials was tightly shut. There were lines drawn on the door, which looked very mysterious and strange. Swish. At this moment, the first level of the tower lit up, and a deep voice sounded. Jun Changshao challenges the first level of the Tower of Trials. The Sect leader went in. The disciples hurriedly raised their heads, hoping to see the Sect leader from the window on the first floor. However, all they could see was a flash of light, and nothing could be seen. Tower of Trials? Yi Xingchen thought to himself. Could it be that it's similar to the training grounds of the large sects that can provide experience for their disciples? Not bad. There was such a meaning. Lu Qianqian also came. She leaned against the tree and thought. Could it be similar to Taixian Xingzong's extreme cold experiential training formation? Because they couldn't see the situation inside the pagoda, the disciples could only wait outside. About an hour later, the light in the tower weakened, and the deep voice sounded again. Jun Changshao, challenge successful. Mighty Sect leader. Mighty Sect leader. Although the disciples did not know what the Sect leader was challenging, as long as he succeeded, they would definitely cheer for him. Creak. At this moment, the tightly shut door of the pagoda opened. Jun Changshao held the door and walked out with trembling legs. The expression on his face was extremely interesting. Xiao Ziji hurriedly ran over and helped him up. Sect leader, are you okay? Jun Changshao raised his hand and wiped the sweat off his forehead. The corner of his mouth twitched as he said, really fucking awesome. Sect leader. Su Xiaoma leaned over and asked, what is this pagoda? You want to know? Jun Changshao said weakly, you can go in and take a look. Can we go in? Su Xiaoma was overjoyed and slipped into the pagoda before the door closed. Li Qingyang, Li Fei, and Tian Qi followed closely behind. After all, the words Tower of Trials were too attractive. Yi Xingchen and Lu Qianqian thought for a while and followed in. Sect leader. After helping the Sect leader to the stone, Xiao Ziji scratched his head and said, I'm going in too. Jun Changshao waved his hand and said, go in, go in. Swoosh. Xiao Ziji ran in quickly, afraid that there would be no place for him if he was late. Li Luochio walked over and said with interest, "This Tower of Trials doesn't seem to be simple." "It's not simple at all," Jun Changxiao panted. Li Luochio smiled and said, "Sect leader went in and was trained to this extent. I'm afraid it will be even more tragic if they go in." Jun Changxiao said, Tower of Trials, if they don't train hard then it's meaningless." Li Luochio shook her head. She secretly prayed for the disciples who went in, hoping that they would come out with some dignity. Creak. The door of the pagoda suddenly closed, and a magnificent aura spread out. A deep voice echoed in the back mountain. "Tower of Trials open." Inside. The moment the door of the pagoda closed, the originally dark environment suddenly became bright. Li Qingyang and dozens of disciples immediately saw that in the corner in front of them, there was a staircase leading to the top. "Let's go." Everyone stepped forward and found that their bodies could not move at all, as if they were bound by some kind of force. "What's going on? Senior brother, why can't I move?" the disciples exclaimed. Not long after, their souls seemed to have suffered a heavy blow, and they suddenly lost their minds for a short time. When they woke up, they found that they were already standing at the entrance of the staircase. Everyone's expression suddenly became sluggish. They were so far behind just now. How did they come here in an instant? Second senior brother, Su Xiaoma said with a trembling voice, "Why is your body transparent and glowing?" Speaking of this, he stopped abruptly, because he realized that he was also transparent and glowing. To be exact, all the disciples standing at the entrance of the staircase were in this state. "Look behind!" Li Fei exclaimed. Everyone turned their heads in unison. There were many disciples standing at the position just now, including himself. His body was stiff. This, Li Qingyang and the others were dumbfounded. Looking at themselves from another angle was undoubtedly very frightening. Moreover, they were clearly standing at the entrance of the tower. So why were they standing here in a transparent flowing light? The more they thought about it, the more their scalps went numb. Could it be that they had seen a ghost? Yi Xingchen frowned and said, "We are now in soul form." Soul form? Everyone was even more confused. Yi Xingchen said, "If I'm not wrong, this Tower of Trials binds our physical bodies and uses our souls to undergo the trials." With this explanation, everyone immediately understood. The one standing at the back was his physical body, and now he was in soul form. This was still very frightening. Su Xiaoma did not care about his physical body or soul, and walked up the staircase with his short legs. The iron-boned disciples hurriedly followed. Whoosh! In the outside world, when they swarmed up to the first level of the Tower of Trials, a flowing light suddenly flashed, and a heavy voice sounded. 53 disciples collectively challenged the first level of the Tower of Trials. It's about to begin. Jun Changxiao recalled his experience just now, and a chill ran down his spine, but he still grinned and said, "Babies, it's time to show your real skills." This smile was clearly one of schadenfreude. Seeing this, Li Luochio shook her head and said, "Good luck to them. P.S. Please recommend me, please give me monthly votes." Chapter 210. On the first floor of the Tower of Trials. This wasn't a tower building, but a place of nothingness. When Li Qingyang and the others appeared in their soul form, and saw everything inside, they were all surprised. There were 9 floors in the Tower of Trials, and each floor was equivalent to an independent space. Because of the different styles of trials, the illusions were also different. To be exact, every tower had a hidden mystery, and it wasn't only 20 meters tall from the outside. Li Qingyang and the others stepped on a circular stone platform. Second senior brother, Su Xiaoma looked around and said, "The aura here is a bit strange." Li Qingyang said solemnly, "Since it's the Tower of Trials, there must be danger. Everyone must be careful." Okay. Everyone hurriedly approached, and they became cautious. At this moment, a heavy voice sounded. 53 disciples collectively challenged the first floor of the Tower of Trials. "It's starting." Yi Xingchen's expression also became solemn. The sect leader had succeeded in the challenge, and walked out in an extremely sorry state. He definitely didn't dare to be careless. Everyone became serious and prepared for the trial. Boom! The stone platform that was a few meters tall suddenly dropped and finally reached the same level as the ground. Whoosh whoosh! A strange wind blew over, and there was a heavy aura. Let's go! Li Qingyang was the first to move. At the same time, he mobilized the psionic power in the cyclone and was fully alert. Xiao Ziji, Su Xiaoma, and the others also unleashed their psionic power. In case of an emergency, they could respond in time. The atmosphere became solemn. With every step they took, the disciples of the Iron Bone sect tensed up. Whoosh whoosh! At this moment, a wave of air that was visible to the naked eye swept over from the end like a rolling river. Swoosh! Swoosh! Xiao Ziji and Li Yuhua immediately took out their iron shields. Although they were soul forms, the space rings and the things inside were also soul forms and could be used directly. However, the shields they took out were also flowing light. It was like a 3D projection. Gather together! Li Qingyang shouted when he took out his iron shield. Swoosh! Swoosh! More than 50 disciples gathered together and hid behind their senior brothers. Hoo-hoo! Waves of air swept over. At first, it looked like a surging river, but soon, it turned into raging waves. It was impossible to block it with just a shield. The corner of Su Xiaoma's mouth twitched. Senior brother, this is bad. Dodge! Li Qingyang said. As soon as he finished speaking, it was as if a stormy wave that was dozens of meters high had come crashing down. It was not water nor was it power. Like smoke, it wantonly surrounded everyone. This, Li Qingyang's mouth twitched. He and his junior brothers acted as if they were facing a great enemy. But in the end, it was just a ball of air. This was a little awkward. You scared me to death. Su Xiaoma patted his chest and walked out from behind the shield. However, his expression suddenly became sluggish. Because from the moment he lifted his foot to the ground, he appeared to be very slow. Second senior brother, he exclaimed. My body is so stiff. Me too. Li Fei walked out slowly. He looked like he was doing a mechanical dance. Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji and the others spread out. Their movements were also stiff, and it was difficult for them to move. A slowing force? Yi Xingchen said with a serious expression. In his previous life, he knew of a type of force that could slow down a martial artist's speed. Wait a minute. It was not just slowing. Everyone gradually felt as if there was an invisible force pressing down on them, and it was gradually getting heavier. This is, Yi Xingchen said in a low voice, gravity. Outside, Jun Changxiao said, the first level of the trial is a test of physical strength. It will increase in intensity according to the martial artist's strength. Can these precious disciples of mine last for an hour? The system said. Due to the limitations of the sect's construction, the first level's gravity system is only 10 times stronger. They should be able to survive after taking the molding pill and the muscle molding room. So the first level of the training tower's gravity is an upgraded version of the molding room? Jun Changxiao murmured. The system said, you can think of it that way. Of course. It added, an hour is just the standard to pass. Only by continuing for a longer time can the body be better tempered. I understand, Jun Changxiao said. Although he had only tempered for an hour, he could feel the obvious changes in his body. If it were not for something, he would have cultivated for a few hours inside. The system said, don't look for excuses. You just couldn't take it and came out because you were exhausted. Do you feel uncomfortable if you don't attack me for a day? Yes. Fuck you. The first level of the training tower. More than 50 disciples could still move slowly. But as the tenfold gravity exploded, each of them stood on the spot with a ferocious look on their faces. They felt as if they were carrying a heavy mountain on their shoulders, and their muscles were being squeezed by some kind of force. It was excruciating. Second senior brother, Su Xiaoma's expression became even more ferocious. His back was slightly bent, and he said in pain, so heavy. Li Qingyang was not feeling well either, but his expression was ferocious, and he could still stand straight. He said, this should be the first level of the training tower. Everyone hold on. They could hold on. After all the disciples who came in, except for Lu Qianqian, had gone through the molding room. However, the pressure brought by gravity was much more severe than using random punches. They were worried that they could not hold on for long. It was strange. Lu Qianqian had not gone through the molding room, but she could still stand straight despite the tenfold gravity. That was because this woman had gathered her psionic energy around her body and was fighting against the gravity. The first level of the training tower's gravity system increased the gravity by tenfold according to each disciple's cultivation base. Therefore, the stronger the cultivation base, the higher the gravity they could withstand. Lu Qianqian's strength was unknown, but she was definitely not weak. After fighting against the gravity for more than 10 minutes, sweat began to gather on her forehead. She was already doing well. Look at Li Qingyang, Su Xiaoma, and the others. After more than 10 minutes, they were all sweating profusely. Their expressions were ferocious, and they looked very happy. Some of them were very calm. One was Xiao Ziji, and the other was Yi Xingchen. Xiao Ziji's body had always been very strong. After more than 10 minutes of gravity tempering, his expression only changed slightly. Although Yi Xingchen's body had not been tempered to the extreme, this guy had activated the Taishan Sutra and could temporarily fight against the tenfold gravity. Just like that, 53 disciples were all suppressed on the first level. Except for a few accidents, most of them began to bend down. Time continued to pass. 30 minutes later, the disciples who had entered the training tower later, and whose bodies were far inferior to their senior brothers, had already squatted down. Their expressions were extremely ferocious. They could not take it anymore. Plop! Cui Bujian could not withstand it, and was directly pressed to the ground. His soul exploded with a bang, and instantly disappeared from the first level. Cui Bujian challenge failed. Bang! Bang! Within a few minutes, several disciples could not withstand the tenfold gravity, and fell to the ground one after another. Their bodies exploded and were eliminated. They did not die, but their souls returned to their bodies. However, after regaining control of their bodies, they collapsed to the ground and rolled up their eyelids. White foam came out of their mouths, and their bodies twitched violently. The most appropriate word to describe it was too horrible to look at. P.S. Thank you to Memories of Childhood for the 10,000 coins tip. Happy birthday to you. Chapter 211. Disciples could enter the Tower of Trials at will to challenge, but if they failed, there would be punishment. For example, Cui Bujian and the others. They were lying on the ground, foaming at the mouth and twitching all over. They were experiencing the double punishment of their bodies and souls. That was definitely not a good feeling. Sigh. Hearing that disciples were being eliminated one after another, Jun Changxiao shook his head and said, "These disciples still lack training. They have to train hard and crazily." He had already thought it through. Next, all the disciples had to pass the first level's gravity test in 1 hour. The system said, "It's difficult." "It's only challenging when it's difficult," Jun Changxiao said. At this moment, the heavy voice sounded again. Li Tianshang challenge failed. This disciple joined the sect together with Long Xiang and the others. Later, he was assigned to the Drizzle Hall and majored in movement techniques. His body was a little weak. To be honest, it was already very good. If it were any other sect's disciples, a large number of them would have been eliminated in 10 minutes. Time continued to pass. Soon it was 40 minutes. During this time, disciples were being eliminated one after another. There were 33 people left on the first level. Most of these disciples were from the first batch of disciples. Their bodies were very strong, so they could still hold on. Of course, the second batch of disciples, Long Xiang and Li Yuhua, were still fighting hard. Li Yuhua had gone through Xiao Ziji's special training and could still hold on. However, Long Xiang was already at the end of his rope. "No, I can't fall. I have to hold on. I have to become stronger." Strong perseverance supported Long Xiang. He clenched his teeth tightly and remained in a half-squatting position. His exposed muscles were bulging with blue veins. Time passed bit by bit. From 40 minutes to more than 50 minutes. They were only a few minutes away from the challenge's success. Long Xiang and Li Yuhua were still struggling to hold on. They were still defending the dignity of the second batch of disciples. As for Li Qingyang and Xiao Ziji, they could definitely hold on. However, the torture brought by gravity was far worse than in the molding room. Hold on, hold on. As the only female disciple present, Lu Qianqian was still persevering, but her brows were tightly knitted as she endured the pain brought about by the gravity. Yi Xingchen was also suffering. However, as a martial emperor, how could he be defeated by a mere tenfold gravity? The most valiant was Xiao Ziji, because among the 33 disciples present, he was the only one who could stand straight and resist the gravity with his body. What a joke. Iron Bone's #1 main tank wasn't just for show. Come on, come on. Let the storm come even fiercer. Xiao Ziji roared in his heart with a ferocious expression. His desire to refine his body to the extreme was growing stronger and stronger. Ding! After a few minutes, a crisp sound came from the first floor, followed by a deep voice. 33 disciples challenge successful. Whoosh! In an instant, a flight of stairs leading to the second level appeared in front of the illusory land. Disciples who succeed in the challenge may proceed to the second level. Disciples who wish to remain may continue to withstand the gravity and train. Disciples who wish to descend may wish to leave. A heavy voice rang in everyone's ears. Plop! Plop! As soon as the voice fell, Long Xiang, Li Yuhua, and the others, who had endured for 2 hours, heaved a sigh of relief. They were all pressed to the ground and howled in their hearts. I don't want to play anymore. I want to leave. Whoosh! Whoosh! In an instant, everyone's soul dissipated and returned to their bodies. Their bodies immediately swayed. Although they didn't fall to the ground and spit white foam like Cui Bujian, after experiencing tenfold gravity for an hour, their bodies were sore, and their legs seemed to be filled with mercury. They couldn't lift them at all. At that moment, they finally understood why the sect leader was so miserable after succeeding in the challenge. Not all the disciples gave up. Li Qingyang and Xiao Ziji were still resisting the gravity. After all, this was a good opportunity to refine their bodies. Lu Qianqian didn't intend to go to the second level or leave. Just like that, the 7 inner disciples continued to refine their bodies on the first level. Li Fei and Tianqi endured for 1.5 hours. When they couldn't take it anymore, they were teleported out. Su Xiaoma was a little stronger than them, but he only lasted for 10 minutes before leaving. The 3 of them held the door and walked out one after another with trembling legs. Then they lay on the grass like mud. They tried hard to breathe fresh air, which made them think, it's so good to be alive. Jun Changshao, who was sitting next to them, smiled and said, Did you feel good? The 3 of them almost couldn't help but cry. It was too scary, too scary. They couldn't go back into play even if they were beaten to death. Li Luoqiu murmured, There's only Lu Qianqian and Li Qingyang left. I don't know how long they can hold on. Jun Changshao said, The longer the better. Yes. Although the tenfold gravity was terrifying, the longer they could hold on, the stronger the tempering of their bodies would be. The 4 people on the first level also knew that, but they were still gritting their teeth and holding on. Not long after, the time reached 2 hours. Li Qingyang and Yi Xingchen were sweating profusely. Blue veins popped out on their foreheads, and their faces were hideous. Lu Qianqian's frown deepened, but after holding on for another 20 minutes, she thought of leaving and her soul returned to her body. And so, only Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, and Yi Xingchen were left on the first level of the Tower of Experience. Although the 3 of them were in great pain, they didn't think of giving up. Soon, 3 hours passed. The tenfold gravity seemed endless. Li Qingyang and Yi Xingchen were already half-squatting, as if they were carrying Mount Tai on their backs. Xiao Ziji was also bent over, but his legs were still able to stand straight. He wasn't in a half-squatting position. Just like that, another hour passed. Li Qingyang and Yi Xingchen finally couldn't hold on any longer. They thought of leaving one after another. The 2 of them challenged for 4 hours, which was 4 hours in falling star continent's time. Whoosh! Li Qingyang was the first to walk out while holding on to the door. His legs were trembling violently, and there was a faint possibility that he would collapse. Damn it. Yi Xingchen also walked out while holding on to the door. He was unwilling to give up. If I still had the body of my previous life, I would be able to withstand the gravity and walk as if I were flying. Sinful self is the only one left. Jun Changshao murmured. Can you hold on until lunch? Xiao Ziji was the only one left on the first level of the Tower of Experience. At this moment his legs were bent, and his body was also bent over. However, he gritted his teeth and held on. His entire face was distorted to a frightening degree. However, there was a limit to the physical body. After resisting for 4.5 hours, he finally reached his limit. He could only think of leaving, and his soul returned to his body. The disciples' challenge has ended. Xiao Ziji has become the record holder of the first level of the Tower of Experience with 4.5 hours. A deep voice sounded. Jun Changshao said with a surprised expression, I was the first to succeed. Why isn't there a record? The system said. The host endured for an hour and didn't continue to challenge. Besides, this is a record to motivate the other disciples. Why are you a sect leader, joining in the fun? That's true. Jun Changshao said. I'm a sect leader. Why should I care about this kind of record? Chapter 212. More than 50 disciples entered the training tower, and more than 30 succeeded. Xiao Ziji was the one who lasted until the end and set the record at 2.5 hours. This was normal. Ever since he joined the sect, Xiao Ziji had been walking the path of strengthening his body. It was reasonable for him to have the last laugh in the first level of training his body. As for the second level of training, none of the successful disciples went up, because they were all exhausted after enduring the tenfold gravity. The first level of the training tower was to train the body, and it was similar to a soul. In fact, it was a 100% imitation of the disciple's body. Under the pressure of the gravity, the pain of the body could be deeply felt after returning to the original body. Then, why did they use this soul-like form to replace the real body training? Because not all disciples had a strong body. If they used their original body to withstand the tenfold gravity, they would probably be crushed to death. As for the second and third levels of training, the training methods were different, and it would definitely be more dangerous. Imitating the disciple's body and training in a soul form. Even if they failed the challenge, they would only be punished. This was the training tower. It was a cultivation place that could allow the disciples to avoid injuries, and at the same time, allow them to train in all aspects. Phew! Outside the tower, Li Qingyang and the others lay on the grass, breathing rapidly. They felt like their bodies did not belong to them. The tenfold gravity training was much better than the molding room. The disciples who failed the challenge were automatically sent out. They lay on the grass with their eyelids rolled back, and their bodies twitching violently. Although failing a challenge in the Tower of Trials would not result in death, the punishment was equivalent to dying once. As for the side effects, they would last for an entire day. The next day, Jun Changshao woke up early. The fatigue in his body had dissipated, and he was full of energy. He jumped a few times on the spot and said, I feel much lighter. He went to the training room and punched the testing machine with his right fist, which was imbued with psionic energy. The strength displayed was 90,000 pounds. Jun Changshao said, I've increased by more than 100 pounds since yesterday. With his current cultivation and physical strength, there was almost no increase in strength after a whole day of molding in the molding room. 1 hour in the training tower, and an increase of 100 pounds. The improvement was still very obvious. The system said, the host has not only improved his strength, but also his physical strength. If he continues to train, he will definitely benefit a lot. Jun Changshao said, this Tower of Experience is really not bad. Even if I use up all my contribution points, I'll still make a profit. Previously, he had forcefully comforted himself, but now, he truly felt that it was worth it. Li Qingyang and the others, who had endured for a longer period of time, felt as light as swallows after they got up. Their strength had also increased by varying degrees. Ha ha ha. Li Tiantian jumped up and down on the training field like an idiot and said, I feel like I'm about to ascend to the heavens. Many of the experienced disciples went to the training room to test their strength. When they saw their strength increase, they were all overjoyed. That tower of trials was simply valiant. Let's go and train. After tasting the sweetness, the disciples forgot the pain and hurried to the back of the mountain. Especially Su Xiaoma and Li Fei. Yesterday, they had thought that they would rather die than play. But in the end, they ran faster than the outer sect disciples. What they meant was that they wouldn't play even if they were beaten to death. As long as they weren't beaten to death, they would play. However, when they arrived at the back of the mountain, the first level of the Tower of Trials flashed. Obviously, someone had entered before them. Who? Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji and Yi Xingchen. After the three of them got up, they didn't go to test themselves. They felt that their physical strength had increased, so they came to train without hesitation. Let's go in. Creak. The tower door opened by itself. Su Xiaoma went in without hesitation. His body froze, and he entered the first level in a simulated state. Tianqi and Li Fei followed closely behind. Su Xiaoma challenged the first level of the Tower of Trials. Tianqi challenged the first level of the Tower of Trials. Li Fei challenge. When the three of them stood in the illusory land, a deep voice sounded. 10 times the gravity instantly pressed down on them, and they began a brand new journey. Cui Bujian, Li Tiantian, and the others came up one after another. In a short time, more than 70 disciples had gathered on the first level. Among them, there was someone who was experiencing 10 times the gravity for the first time. His expression suddenly became interesting. Bang! A few minutes later, 2 disciples were eliminated one after another. They were new disciples and hadn't fully adapted to the molding in the molding room. If they came here to experience the gravity, they would definitely kneel. Jun Changshao, who was sitting on a rock outside the tower, murmured, experiencing for a few minutes and being weak for an entire day. Isn't this a waste of time? The system said. Therefore, the host needs to set the requirements to enter the Tower of Trials. Jun Changshao began to think. Combining the performance of Cui Bujian, Li Tiantian, and the others, he finally decided that disciples who didn't undergo 2 months of molding in the molding room were prohibited from entering the Tower of Trials. More than half an hour later, more than half of the 60 disciples in the Tower of Trials were eliminated. However, the disciples who failed the second challenge lasted a little longer than yesterday. This meant that there was progress. Li Qingyang and the other 2, who were the first to train, successfully endured for an hour and succeeded in the challenge again. Success didn't mean the end. Because they wanted to pursue the ultimate physical body tempering, they were still resisting 10 times the gravity. Su Xiaoma, Tianqi, and the others were also challenging their limits, hoping to hold on for a longer time. As long as the disciples continued, they didn't care about the success of the challenge. They only cared about being able to experience for a longer time, or to challenge Xiao Ziji's record. The recording function of the Tower of Trials was to encourage the disciples to work hard. However, Su Xiaoma and the others weren't as crazy as Xiao Ziji when it came to body molding. After enduring for an hour, they couldn't bear it anymore and automatically left. On the first floor, Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, and Yi Xingchen were left. I can't lose, I have to hold on. Yi Xingchen, who was resisting 10 times the gravity, clenched his fists, the veins on his face popping out. As a martial emperor, he definitely had the pride to not admit defeat. Unfortunately, the one who seized the body was the woodcutter after all. His body molding was much later than Xiao Ziji. In the end, he was defeated together with Li Qingyang. The 2 of them held on for 10 more minutes than yesterday. The improvement was very significant. Phew. Li Qingyang and Yi Xingchen held on to the door and walked out. Once again they collapsed on the grass. Once again, they felt that their bodies didn't belong to them. Xiao Ziji was still persevering. Soon he reached 5 hours, matching the record he set yesterday. This couldn't end. He had to break the record. However, after holding on for more than 10 minutes, he couldn't bear the gravity anymore and had no choice but to retreat. Strange. Seeing Xiao Ziji stagger out, Jun Changxiao was puzzled. Sinful Self lasted longer than yesterday. Why didn't he set a new record? The system said, the new record needs to be improved for an hour before it can be recognized. I see. Jun Changxiao understood. If he wanted the Tower of Trials to recognize a new record, he had to endure for 6 hours. This was undoubtedly a bit difficult. Even if he wanted to break the record set by Xiao Ziji, it wasn't something he could do in a day or two. Chapter 213. The next day, after the disciples finished their morning exercises, Jun Changxiao announced that the disciples who had not spent 2 months in the training room would be banned from entering the training tower. If they could not withstand the first level of gravity, they would kneel the moment they entered. It was undoubtedly a waste of time. Sect Master Li Qingyang said, there are not many training rooms in the training room. We can't arrange for a few hundred disciples. When there were only a few hundred disciples, the training rooms were already in short supply. Now that there were only 500 disciples, it would be even more miserable. Jun Changxiao pondered for a while and went to the training room. He bought 10 muscle training rooms and ordered that the disciples who had been training for more than 2 months did not need to come in again. With this, the problem was solved. Although it was still in short supply, at least the disciples could go in and train for a period of time every day. Because of the continuous consumption of the spirit array and the 200 points that he had just spent, Jun Changxiao now only had 100 points left. It was very tragic and insecure. However, if it could make the disciples stronger and move towards the strongest sect, he would not feel the pinch even if he spent it all. There are still 497 vacancies in the sect. If we fill them up, we can earn a lot of contribution points. Jun Changxiao murmured. He already had plans to open the sect again and recruit disciples. In this way, the disciples who did not have a strong physical body would be trained in the training room first. The disciples who met the requirements would enter the training tower. Of course, Jun Changxiao would not be idle either. After dinner, he would enter the first level of the training tower alone and start training his physical body. Why did it have to be at night? Because the disciples had already trained. They would not be able to see the hideous expressions caused by the gravity. As the sect master, he had to maintain his dignity at all times. During the second training, Jun Changxiao was very serious. Not only did he succeed in the challenge, but he also held on for more than 4 hours. In terms of physical strength, he was not weaker than Xiao Ziji. After all, after buying the training room, he often spent the whole night training. Phew! Under the starry night, Jun Changxiao lay on the grass and breathed rapidly. His face gradually relaxed. This was his 3rd time in the training tower, and he held on for 6 hours. Although he broke the record, the training tower did not recognize him because of his identity as the sect master. Forget it. The record was a kind of motivation for the disciples. He did not need to care. At this moment, Jun Changxiao noticed that Lu Qianqian, dressed in white, had appeared in the night and stopped in front of the pagoda door. Why didn't this woman train during the day? Could it be that she had to maintain the demeanor of an ice-cold beauty? Lu Qianqian noticed the sect leader, but she only glanced at him before getting up and entering the experience tower. Swish! The first layer of light flickered, illuminating the surroundings. A deep voice sounded. Lu Qianqian challenges the first level of the Tower of Experience. Jun Changxiao murmured. She has never been to the molding room before. It's already very good that she can last for a few hours the first time. How long can she last this time? Crack. He took out the mechanical stopwatch he had previously purchased from his spatial ring and began to calculate the time for Lu Qianqian. Needless to say, some of the seemingly useless items purchased from the refresh shop could sometimes show a little bit of value. An hour later, the heavy voice sounded again. Lu Qianqian challenge successful. Jun Changxiao wasn't surprised. What he cared about was whether this woman could last for 4 hours. Time continued to pass. Jun Changxiao, who was completely exhausted, finally fell asleep on the grass. The stopwatch in his hand kept ticking. 5 hours later, A voice sounded from the Tower of Experience. Disciples' challenge has ended. Lu Qianqian has become the record holder for the first level of the Tower of Experience with 6 hours. She actually broke Xiao Ziji's record in her second trial. Unfortunately, Sect leader Jun was too tired. He slept like a dead pig and didn't hear the voice at all. Creak. The pagoda door opened, and Lu Qianqian walked out with a pale face. If Jun Changxiao saw this, he would be extremely shocked. Because after enduring for 6 hours, she still had the strength to walk. The physical training in the Tower of Experience is much better than the extreme cold training array. Lu Qianqian murmured and saw the snoring Sect leader in the distance. She supported her weak body and walked towards the inner courtyard. However, after a few steps, she stopped in front of Jun Changxiao. Her eyes were still cold. After dawn, Jun Changxiao suddenly opened his eyes and said, "I actually fell asleep." When he got up, he found a blanket covering his body. There was a faint fragrance. Sect leader Jun instantly determined that it wasn't just a woman's fragrance. It was Lu Qianqian's. As an old single dog, he was actually able to determine who it was from the fragrance. He was indeed talented. Jun Changxiao folded the blanket and murmured, "She still knows how to care for her Sect leader. As expected, she's cold-hearted but not cold-hearted." Speaking of which, how long did that woman last? Jun Changxiao subconsciously looked up at the Tower of Experience and saw the words on the first level. Record holder, Lu Qianqian. Time 6 hours. Gah. He was stunned. That woman broke the record. After doing morning exercises and eating breakfast, Li Qingyang and the others continued to train in the Tower of Experience. When they saw that Lu Qianqian had broken the record on the first level, they were all dumbfounded. "Oh my God!" Su Xiaomao exclaimed. "I didn't see eldest senior sister coming yesterday. When did she break junior brother Zhao's record?" Xiao Ziji scratched his head and said in admiration, "Eldest senior sister is really amazing." He had only lasted 20 minutes longer than the second time. At this rate, it would take at least a few days to reach 6 hours. That woman is indeed not simple, Yi Xingchen thought to himself. He was already very surprised that she could use the ice element in Death Valley. Now that she had lasted 6 hours, her strength couldn't be underestimated. As a woman, Lu Qianqian had taken the record on the first level of the Tower of Experience. Many female disciples were overjoyed. They didn't dare to go in at first, but under the encouragement of eldest senior sister's record, they finally stepped into the Tower of Experience. Ling Yuanxue, who was determined to become a martial artist and prove who said that women were inferior to men, also went in. Although she didn't succeed, at least she had the courage. Just like that, with the birth of Lu Qianqian's record, the male disciples didn't want to admit defeat and trained even more crazily. The female disciples were encouraged and also boldly cultivated. The whole Ironbone Tower was filled with the spirit of martial cultivation. Standing outside the Tower of Experience, Jun Changxiao looked at the disciples going in and out, exuding an aura of "I want to become stronger." A gratified smile appeared on his face. At night, he didn't go in to train. He was waiting for Lu Qianqian. Sure enough, around dawn, that woman came late. "Hey!" Jun Changxiao, who was sitting on a rock, shouted. "It's so late. Why are you here to train instead of sleeping?" Lu Qianqian said, "Sect Master isn't sleeping either." Jun Changxiao took out the blanket and said, "This should be yours, right?" Sect Master gave me a bracelet, and I gave Sect Master a blanket. Lu Qianqian said. Jun Changxiao was speechless. "I gave you an ice bracelet, and you gave me a blanket. This return gift is too cheap." Lu Qianqian was silent. When she put on the ice bracelet in Death Valley, she realized that the bracelet given by the Sect Master contained the power of ice and could increase the strength of her ice. Otherwise, it was impossible to seal the fire dragon beast for 4 to 5 breaths. Lu Qianqian said, "The Tower of Experience should be a high-level treasure. Can Sect Master separate the male and female training areas?" Jun Changxiao thought for a moment and said, "Yes, you can." However, he walked over and said, "Today you have to go in with me to train." Lu Qianqian frowned slightly. Jun Changshao said. I just want to see how strong your eldest disciple's physical body is to be able to break the record. Chapter 214. On the first floor of the Tower of Experience, Jun Changshao was enduring the tenfold gravity with a hideous expression on his face. He had been here for 4 hours. Although he was more used to it than the previous 2 times, it still didn't feel good. On the contrary, Lu Qianqian, who was standing next to him, frowned. Her forehead was dripping with sweat, but she looked much more relaxed. At that moment, Jun Changshao finally understood why she wasn't interested in the molding room. It turned out that her physical body was already very strong, so there was no need to mold it. She was young, but her cultivation was high, and she even had a special ice element. This eldest disciple was really not simple. Qianqian. Jun Changshao resisted the gravity and said with difficulty, what is your background? Lu Qianqian said, I don't have a background. No background? Only a ghost would believe that. Jun Changshao said, you have a saint-grade spirit root and an ice element. You should be from a big family. Lu Qianqian was startled. How does he know about my spirit root? After purchasing the dazzling light ink realm, apart from Zhou Hong, the only other person in the sect who didn't want to see it was Sect Master Jun, of course. Jun Changshao said again, maybe you're from a big sect. Hearing the words big sect, Lu Qianqian's eyes shook slightly. Although this woman was very easy to hide, Jun Changshao still caught it. It seems that this woman really is from a big sect. Saint-grade spirit root. She was definitely a third-rate sect. Since she was from a big sect, why did she come to Qingyang County and join a small sect like his? At that moment, he was possessed by Sherlock Holmes and Detective Conan. Sect leader Jun began to rack his brain, and finally came to the conclusion that he was too handsome, and was accidentally discovered by her. She didn't hesitate to leave the big sect and join Iron Bone. His reasoning was very logical and meticulous. Who could find fault with it? Lu Qianqian said, it's better that sect leader doesn't know about my matters. Jun Changshao said, you must have done something in the big sect, and was forced to leave. Joining Iron Bone is also to avoid trouble. I've already made myself very clear, yet he still wants to guess. Seeing that the woman was silent, Jun Changshao said, it seems that my guess is pretty close. Lu Qianqian stopped talking, and focused on resisting the gravity. Jun Changshao said, you're my Iron Bone disciple for a day, and you'll be my Iron Bone disciple for a lifetime. If an enemy comes knocking on your door, I'll stand up for you. Lu Qianqian looked at him and said, if my enemy was Wu Huang or Wu Sheng, would sect leader be able to help me? Wu Huang, Wu Sheng? Was this woman's enemy that strong? Lu Qianqian said, Sect Master, you should focus on developing the sect. I will handle my own matters. Lu Qianqian, listen carefully. Jun Changshao straightened his slightly bent body and said, even if your enemy is a high and mighty martial emperor, as the sect leader of Iron Bone, I'll stand up for you. His words were sonorous and powerful, and were very strong. But under 10 times the gravity, his face, which should have been serious, still looked ferocious. Lu Qianqian was stunned. Plop. Because he was distracted by talking, sect leader Jun fell to the ground. Just as his soul was about to collapse, he hurriedly thought of leaving. Lu Qianqian stood on the first floor, the sect leader's words echoing in her ears. A moment later, a smile appeared at the corner of her mouth for the first time. This iceberg woman actually smiled. Lu Qianqian, who was already extraordinarily beautiful, could be described as having a smile that could topple cities, and then a smile that could topple countries. Unfortunately, sect leader Jun, who was holding the door and walking out, couldn't see it. The next day, under the control of Jun Changshao's thoughts, the first floor of the training pagoda was divided into 2 areas. One for the male disciples to train, and the other for the female disciples. Sect leader Jun specially divided the female disciples' training area into more than 20 separate areas, so that they could train alone. It couldn't be helped. Girls more or less cared about their makeup. If they were to be seen while enduring the gravity, it would definitely affect their condition. Sure enough, After the separation, the first batch of female disciples who entered the sect unscrupulously endured the 10 times gravity in the separate areas. One after another, there were people who successfully challenged the pagoda. Ling Yuanshua's improvement was also very obvious. From the initial 30+ minutes to 50+ minutes, he was close to completing the challenge. The male disciples who didn't receive any special treatment stood on the first floor as usual, their faces as ferocious as the devil's. They weren't little fresh meats who relied on their faces to make a living. As long as their physical body and strength could be improved, they would be happy even if they had to twist their faces every day. After obtaining the training pagoda, Li Qingyang and the others temporarily gave up on cultivating their spiritual power and focused on tempering their physical bodies. After all, having a solid foundation would be of great help to their martial path in the future. Yi Xingchen, who had suffered in his previous life, had a deep understanding of this. Therefore, as soon as he recovered the next day, he immediately went to temper his physical body. In this life, as long as I have a solid physical body, after I become a martial emperor, it will be easy for me to shatter the void. Knight Emperor, who was enduring the 10 times gravity, had a strong glow in his eyes. In the end, he endured for 4 hours. It wasn't enough. There were still 6 hours left for him to surpass. 10 days later, after the Iron Bone disciples went through the first floor of the training pagoda, most of them were able to endure for an hour, especially Li Qingyang and a few other inner disciples. After enduring for an hour, they only frowned. After a long period of training, they had already adapted well to the 10 times gravity. However, if they wanted to improve further, they had to continuously break through their limits. Li Qingyang, Yi Xingchen, and Xiao Ziji were completely infatuated with the 10 times gravity. They focused on tempering their physical bodies. Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, and the others had no hope of catching up. They were considering whether to ascend to the second floor. In the past, they had thought of going, but after enduring for an hour, they were already exhausted. They couldn't withstand the 10 times gravity and walk to the stairs. Although it was very painful now, they could at least lift their feet with difficulty. "Let's go," Su Xiaoma said. "To the second floor." Step. He, Li Fei, and Tian Qi gritted their teeth and lifted their feet. They endured the 10 times gravity and walked over. Finally, they climbed the stairs and reached the second floor. The disciples who were still struggling on the first floor had envy in their eyes. They thought to themselves, "I have to work hard too. I have to strive to reach the second floor, like my senior brothers." Whoosh! The second floor of the training pagoda flashed. Su Xiaoma challenged the second floor of the training pagoda. Li Fei challenge, Tian Qi challenge. However, after a few minutes, the heavy voice sounded again. Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, and Tian Qi failed. Creak! Whoosh! 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 The pagoda door opened. Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, and Tian Qi were directly thrown out. The three's eyelids rolled back. They foamed at the mouth, and their bodies twitched violently. The degree of punishment was far more tragic than Cui Bujian and the others who had failed before. Hiss! The disciples who were preparing to go in and temper their physical bodies saw the miserable state of their senior brothers. They all gasped. This second level was definitely terrifying enough to make one's hair stand on end. Chapter 215. The purpose of the Experience Tower was to train in all aspects. The first level used gravity to compress the body and achieve extreme tempering. However, if it was purely tempering the body, it would not be perfect, because the muscles and bones also needed to be tempered. The flesh was the foundation, and the bones were the load-bearing beams. With the perfect combination of the two, a tall building could be built from the ground. Then, the theme of the second level of the Experience Tower was to temper the bones. This tempering did not use gravity to compress the bones, but a special flame to temper the bones and veins. When Su Xiaoma and the other two arrived at the second level, their bodies were immediately enveloped by a strange flame. Hundreds of bones and veins were immediately subjected to crazy tempering. The tempering of the body was only due to the compression of gravity. The pain of having his bones and tendons burned by the strange flame was bone-piercing. Su Xiaoma and the other two, who were not in good condition to begin with, were caught off guard by such a tempering. After a few minutes, their soul bodies directly collapsed. The punishment of the second level was far greater than that of the first level. Judging from their twitching, it would be difficult for them to recover without 2 days. Standing in front of the three, Jun Changshao shook his head and said, "You haven't even fully adapted to the first level, and you're in a hurry to go to the second level. You're quite brave." Fully adapting to this was very particular, not to mention being able to walk as fast as flying, but at least being able to withstand it for an hour, without any change in expression. As of now, no disciple could meet the requirements. Therefore, to go to the second level was a long and arduous task. With the 3 senior brothers as examples, the iron-bone disciples obediently tempered their bodies on the first level. As they gradually adapted to the tenfold gravity, they did not feel too painful after cultivating for an hour, and could cultivate as usual. In fact, tempering for an hour a day was already very effective. Unless they went to the extreme, there was no need to fight to the death. Li Qingyang realized that, and no longer pursued the limit. Every day, he tempered for 2 hours, either cultivating the I Jing Jing, or helping the sect leader with sect affairs. Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, and the others were the same. In their opinion, tempering the body was only a part of cultivation. The nurturing of spiritual energy could not be neglected. From the previous high spirits to gradually calming down, this was a normal development. However, Xiao Ziji and Yi Xingchen were still going to the extreme, tempering for 6 hours before stopping. The advantage of this was that his physical body could be strengthened at a high rate. The disadvantage was that he would be weak for an entire day after the training. Jun Changshao would not stop the two from tempering their bodies to the extreme. After all, disciples had the right to choose their own path of martial arts. The only thing he could do was to protect her on the road, and not be bullied by others. Neither Wu Huang nor Wu Huang could do it. During this period, Jun Changshao distributed the mountain-splitting palm and seal shield to the disciples, giving them more skills to learn. Mountain-splitting palm was a domineering palm technique. Spirit energy gathered in the palm, and the explosive force could split mountains and rocks. The seal shield was a defensive cultivation technique. It was driven by spiritual energy, and formed a defensive shield in front of the user. The levels of these 2 cultivation techniques were not high, and they were relatively simple to cultivate. However, in order to unleash their full potential, one had to have a high level of cultivation and comprehension. In the study room, Jun Changshao took out 10 bottles of high-grade aptitude modification liquid and said, "You guys did well in the trip to Death Valley. Take this medicinal liquid and consume it." Zhang Wei and the other 10 middle-grade disciples stepped forward, and each took a bottle of aptitude modification liquid. After consuming it, the middle-grade spirit root would be upgraded to high-grade. During the training in Death Valley, Long Xiang and Li Yuhua's performance was not bad. But because they entered the sect late, Jun Changshao chose to give it to the older disciples first. There were many disciples and limited resources. They could only distribute it according to the time they entered the sect. What kind of medicinal liquid is this? After drinking it, one's realm and cultivation will actually increase. This is unbelievable. Could it be that the medicinal liquid given to us by the sect leader is the immortal dew wine? The 10 disciples were shocked. After their spirit roots were upgraded to high grade, if nothing unexpected happened, they would definitely become inner sect disciples in the future. Those whose cultivation was not high relied on the forging room and the spirit energy array to increase their cultivation. Those who were strong entered the experience tower to train. The disciples' cultivation was in full swing, and their iron bone was clearly becoming more and more standardized and professional. After the disciples' training was solved, Jun Changshao only had one problem in front of him, and that was martial resources. Martial resources were pills, weapons, and spirit stones. Pills and weapons could be refined by the pill refining pavilion and the forging pavilion, but spirit stones were more difficult. On the market, One spirit stone was equivalent to 10,000 taels. Even if sect leader Jun used all his wealth to exchange, he could only exchange for 1,000 or so. He could absorb them himself, but it was definitely not enough for hundreds of disciples. I'm still poor. Jun Changshao sat in the study room and rubbed his temples. Without this damned system binding, it would be better for him to slowly develop in the other world. Complaining wouldn't solve any problems, so sect leader Jun had to think of a way to earn martial resources. Actually, with the experience tower, the disciples would definitely become stronger and lead the sect to become stronger. But he wanted to be fast. The time limit of the main mission was only 100 years. If he could reach it as soon as possible, he naturally couldn't be passive. I can give more healing pills to the AI family to obtain more funds in a short time, Jun Changshao murmured. He didn't consider giving more body-shaping pills. This thing was much more heaven-defying than healing pills. If he sold it in large quantities, it would definitely attract attention. Besides, if he sold a lot of pills, wouldn't he be creating a strong opponent for himself if he encountered an enemy who had taken them before? Sect leader. At this moment, Li Qingyang walked in and said, Family head AI requests an audience. Why was he here again? Jun Changshao said, Please enter the main hall. Yes. When family head AI came last time, sect leader Jun brought his disciples to Death Valley to train, so he came again mainly to confirm whether he would participate in the auction. After knowing the purpose of his visit, sect leader Jun pondered for a moment and said, Family head AI, I have too many things to do in the sect, so I won't be participating in tomorrow's auction. He was really not interested in this kind of auction. Sect leader Jun family head AI said, There are many experts and major forces from various counties at this auction. You can go and broaden your horizons. Also, he paused for a moment and said, The fourth-rate palace master of Miaohua Palace is also here. Jun Changshao said in surprise, Your auction this time even alarmed a fourth-rate sect? Family head AI smiled and said, Sect leader Jun, have you heard of the palace master of Miaohua Palace? No, Jun Changshao said. Family head AI said, This palace master of Miaohua Palace is the same as sect leader Jun. She led a sect at a young age, and is known as a strange woman of the Starfield continent. Oh, Jun Changshao said, The palace master of Miaohua Palace is a woman. That's right. Family head AI said, Miaohua Palace has always only accepted female disciples. It is one of the few female sects in the Starfall continent. How young is she? Jun Changshao asked. Family head AI said, The palace master of Miaohua Palace has just turned 20 years old. She is outstanding and is a great beauty. Jun Changshao said seriously, Family head AI has invited me again and again. If I refuse, it will be a little unreasonable. He decided to go. It was not to see some great beauty, but to broaden his horizons. Chapter 216. Jun Changshao went to the auction mainly to broaden his horizons. After all, interacting with the big shots of the sect was better than working behind closed doors at home. As for the palace master of Miaohua Palace, I really want to see what kind of beauty she is, 1 in a million. Men. It was normal to like looking at beauties. If Jun Changshao righteously said that he didn't like looking at beauties, he would either be extremely hypocritical, or there was a problem with his sexual orientation. Sect Master Jun, before the AI family had left, he handed over a few space rings and said, These are the medicinal herbs that I have recently collected. Thank you. After Jun Changshao accepted it, he cupped his fists and said, Tomorrow, Jun will definitely attend the auction. He had the medicinal herbs and the space rings. Therefore, there was no need to specially buy these things. It was enough to lick the bag and be given by others. The AI family head gave him a lot of medicinal herbs, so Jun Changshao opened the alchemy pavilion and refined a lot. At the moment, there were plenty of healing pills and shaping pills, as well as many meridian opening pills and chi revolving pills. Although he had refined more than 1,000 chi gathering pills, he had to supply more than 500 disciples. It was a drop in the bucket. Sigh. Jun Changshao sighed. Resources, I need you guys too much. That night, he began to arrange the affairs of the sect to Li Qingyang, then entered the experience tower to train for 4 hours. The next day after breakfast, he set off for Huyang City. However, just as he walked down the mountain, Lu Qianqian, who was like a pure snow lotus, stood under a tree. Jun Changshao was puzzled. Why are you here? Lu Qianqian said. I heard from second junior brother that Sect Master is going to attend the auction. I want to go and watch the fun. You've been cultivating in the sect all day. It's time to go out and relax. Jun Changshao said. Let's go, follow me to Huyang City. Thus the two of them left Ironbone Mountain. Ever since the sect was formalized, Sect Master Jun had changed this nameless mountain to Ironbone Mountain. After all, many sects either built their sect after a mountain or directly changed their name to something related to the sect. This was a trend. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Early in the morning, everything was silent. A faint light appeared on the eastern horizon, carefully soaking in the light blue sky. A new day was gradually approaching. The mountains were humid and often filled with a light mist. Jun Changshao and Lu Qianqian walked out of the morning fog one after another. They looked like an immortal couple, descending to the mortal world. This was the second time the two of them had traveled together alone. The first time was when they went to Qingyang City to participate in the recruitment of the numerous sects. At that time, Jun Changshao had just transmigrated and was a complete newbie. On the other hand, Lu Qianqian's temperament was like that of a fairy. When the two of them walked together, there was a sense of incompatibility. Now that he was a rank 5 martial master, he had the aura of a sect master gathered around him. Walking alone with this woman, his aura had already surpassed hers. In fact, in the past few months, Lu Qianqian's attitude towards the sect leader had changed a lot. She rarely used words to choke him. Qianqian, Jun Changshao chatted casually. The last time we went to Qingyang City to participate in the recruitment of the numerous sects, there were only 2 of us in the sect. Now that it has developed to more than 500 people, it's incredible just thinking about it. Lu Qianqian said, a large-scale sect needs at least a few thousand disciples. The sect leader still has a long way to go. Although he said so, he had to admit it in his heart. During this period of time, the Ironbone sect was really getting stronger day by day under his management. She once said that if he became the sect leader, he could make the sect dominate Qingyang County. Now it seemed that not only could he do it, but it would probably take even less time. As for dominating the Falling Star continent, Lu Qianqian could only use the word dream to describe it. Are you tired? Do you want to rest for a while? I'm not tired. Are you hungry? Do you want to eat something? I'm not hungry. Used to this woman's cold personality, Jun Changshao didn't take it to heart, but said, have you heard of Miaohua Palace? Lu Qianqian said, a newly risen 4th-rate sect. The palace master is called Shi Jingxian, known as the world's most extraordinary woman. Jun Changshao said in surprise. You even know the name of the palace master. You know quite a lot about the sect. Lu Qianqian said. These forces the sect leader must also understand, such as which sects can't be offended, which sects have strong backing. I don't cause trouble, why would I want to know about the sect? Besides, Jun Changshao paused and said, why don't they come to understand my iron bone? A sect let the sect understand. If this was heard by outsiders, they would definitely scoff. Don't cause trouble? Lu Qianqian said. The Black Eagle Hall's deputy hall master and disciples were killed a while ago. The sect leader has caused trouble. If they find out that it was my iron bone who did it, they will definitely not let it go. They were killed in the wilderness, and their bodies were burned. How could they be discovered? Jun Changshao said confidently. No wonder this guy burned it with the exquisite fire. He had already planned to not leave any traces. Lu Qianqian said. Don't underestimate a 7th-rate sect, and even more so an evil sect, because they have unknown methods. Maybe they can find out. Besides, the people of Black Eagle Hall came to intercept us. They must have heard from the rogue cultivators at the entrance of the valley. As long as they find out, With the evil sect's usual ruthless way of doing things, no matter right or wrong, they will definitely come to us. This woman was a little too talkative, but also to remind the sect leader. Makes sense. Jun Changshao rubbed his chin, saying, "This Black Eagle Hall, we must pay attention to it, lest we fall into their trap." Lu Chanqian said, "Disciple thinks, to avoid future trouble, the sect leader can lead us to destroy the evil sect first." Jun Changshao was taken aback. "Isn't that a little too cruel?" Lu Chanqian's eyes were cold. "It's easy to dodge a spear in the open, but hard to defend against an arrow in the dark. Rather than passively defending, it's better to take the initiative to attack and eliminate any danger that appears in advance." Jun Changshao said, "Let's talk about this after the auction." He very much agreed with Lu Chanqian's suggestion. After all, Black Eagle Hall was an evil sect. Their way of doing things was no different from the Drizzle building. Once they took the initiative, they would be very passive. Jun Changshao was not afraid of coming to cause trouble in the open, but he was afraid of playing tricks behind their backs. The Spirit Spring sect was a good example. If they did not decisively attack and destroy them in one fell swoop, who knows what kind of trouble they would cause in the future. It's just an evil sect. On the way to Huyang City, Jun Changshao said to himself, destroying them is not a problem. He took Lu Chanqian's suggestion and decided to eliminate any possible danger in the cradle in advance. This method was very correct, because the Black Eagle Hall in Huaying County had not seen the return of the Vice Hall leader and his disciples. They had already begun to investigate this matter. As long as they found out that the disciples went to intercept the Iron Bone and then lost contact, they would definitely come to Qingyang County to cause trouble. The evil sects would not reason with you, nor would they give you evidence. If there was any doubt, they would rather kill 1,000 than let go of one. Of course, the investigation also needed time. Since Jun Changshao had decided to destroy Black Eagle Hall, he should be able to act before them. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.